Sumner 1.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN. I know what you're thinking. Carey Davis, if you're on the YouTube right now, go to youtube.com and go to 101 ESPN STL. Carey's got a quizzical look on his face. Brooke Grimsley is here. Carey Davis, Randy Karraker. 7 o'clock time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. And Carey, you're wondering why we would be playing that particular song on this particular morning, in which the Cardinals have reached, as Brooke mentioned to me, 20 games under 500 for the first time since 1995. But here's what I'm looking at.
Okay.
Consistency. Okay. You guys recall one of the great stats in baseball history is that Stan the Man, Cardinal icon, greatest Cardinal of them all, had 3,630 hits. 1,865 at home, 1,865 on the road. Your St. Louis Cardinals, 28 and 38 at home, 28 and 38 on the road. They are, if nothing else, consistent after a loss last night.
How about that?
There you go.
How about that? Aren't you supposed to be better at home in front of your fans typically?
Typically, but I like the consistency.
I don't like it.
No.
I don't like it. No.
56 and 76 is the overall record if you aren't good at the math like me, which is probably something that could be improved upon a tad.
You think?
A tad, yeah. 4-1 loss last night. Great pitching performance, by the way, by our guy, Adam Wainwright.
That was
a really,
6 innings.
really good.
Yeah, he allowed 1 run on 8 hits. He struck out 1 and walked 3. But you get a quality start out of Adam, and then with this offense, you figure, okay, we're good to go. But the offense did not do much again. 1 run on 4 hits. The highlights in this game, unfortunately, came from the San Diego Padres, who provided the opposition last night. And one of the great things to see is the BFIWB, the best fans of winning baseball, who showed up because they adore the future Red Jacket wearer, the future Cardinal Hall of Famer, Matt Carpenter.
2 great former teammates lock horns tonight, and let's hear the applause.
Wasn't getting those 3 years ago.
No, not whatsoever.
But congratulations to Cardinal fans, by the way, for treating him well.
Well, I said this off air. I was a little disappointed. And not in the fans. Well, I'm disappointed in the Cardinals because they need to win more. They needed to win more, to have more fans there to give Matt Carpenter a greater round of applause.
I agree.
It just wasn't very loud. I mean, it sounds loud on the radio, but when you're watching on TV, you can tell it just wasn't a packed house.
No.
And so that's because they are, how many games under 500?
They are 20 games under 500 for the first time since 1995, CD and Randy.
I don't even remember that year.
I think, do you want to forget about it?
I mean, La Russa came the next year.
Yeah,
96?
that's why.
That's why. I don't remember that year.
1995, a year to forget. So what was going on in 1995, huh? Just for those.
We were coming off a strike season, all right, the strike of 94. The season started late. It was only 144 games. That was the last year of the Anheuser-Busch ownership. Gussie Busch died in 1989. August Busch III took over. Didn't like baseball. No damn baseball player is going to get paid more than I am. So it was a young team that bailed on the organization, bailed on the fans and said, we're going to, tell me if you've heard this one before, we're going to go out and get a hitter. And Bobby Bonilla's out there, and then they say, yeah, we can't afford a hitter. So they go into 95, and it was just dismal. It was a bad year. Torre got fired. Torre gets fired on June 15th, okay? The Cardinals this is really bad. So the Cardinals are going to trade Todd Zeile to the Cubs for Mike Morgan. And they, as an organization, not naming any names, decide, you know what? Why should we have 2 press conferences when we're going to fire Joe Torre anyway? Why don't we just have 1 press conference? So, with the knowledge that the Cardinals are going to trade Todd Zeile, Joe Torre goes up to Walt Jocketty's office to hash it out and talk about who's going to be on the roster the next day. The Cardinal manager's office is down in the bowels of the stadium downstairs. The general manager's office is upstairs. Joe Torre, this is the night of June 14th, 1995, goes back downstairs because he's left his briefcase in his office, and they're cleaning out his office.
Oh, my gosh. Are you serious?
That's how he found out he was getting fired.
And then, so what? Do they just keep cleaning? They're like, sorry, bud.
Sorry, Joe. Yeah. Everybody loves Joe Torre. Everybody loves Joe Torre. And the equipment guys were beside themselves. So, and here's...
That's
man.
awful.
Yeah, really, really bad. Really bad.
You try to be professional in situations like that.
Yep.
I don't know if I can keep my
by
professional
the way,
hat on.
Walt had no idea that this was happening. So Walt, the next morning, has to go over to Joe's house and explain to him what happened, that he had no idea. And this is one of the great things about Joe Torre. And one of the reasons that I will always love him, even if he didn't do this. But he gets fired in the morning. He rents Mike Shannon's restaurant out and invites all the media for lunch to thank us for being so good to him.
That's nice.
First class, just first class. And then he goes, he and his wife had a pizza place on the hill that they loved where you brought a bottle of wine in. They didn't have a liquor license. So he shows up the night he gets fired. Cardinals are playing, and he's having pizza with his wife. And people are saying, what are you doing here? He said, well, I got to eat.
Actually, taking in a game, not from a manager's standpoint for once, I would go all out. I'd be all over the place in this town.
Yeah, how about that? What a way to get fired.
That is, Randy,
How about that?
How about that? What are y'all doing in here? Yeah, leave now. I don't care what your rules are, what your instructions were. Get out.
And then the professional hat.
But
it just set that to the side.
Right. But Joe is such a good guy. He would never do that. He's just too good of a human being. And by the way, if the Cardinals would have gotten the players that they got for Tony La Russa the next year in 1996 for Joe Torre, he would have won. They would have gone to the World Series, and I don't know if they would have won, but the Yankees would not have had Joe Torre as their manager. I think there's a pretty strong likelihood that the Cardinals, with that group of players, would have won under Joe Torre.
I can see that. I not to get too sidetracked, but being here for the Mike Matheny firing and then the Mike Schilt firing, both of those experiences were very strange because Mike Matheny, all that turmoil leading up to it, and then it just happened. And then with Mike Schilt, though, that was the most shocking thing. And then to get that Zoom invite, invited by Mike Schilt to, I guess, his post-firing thing. It was so emotional, and it was via Zoom of all things. So it was just one of the strangest things.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, we don't have to worry about having that situation occur in 2023. That's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
I hope not.
I don't think Skip's
Doesn't
going to.
seem like it.
So the other thing that happened last night, by the way, scoreless game into the sixth, and the Padres, as we know, are pretty good. Fernando Tatis Jr., Cardinals know him well. They scouted him 18 times if it didn't sign him. So he gets a leadoff hit. Xander Bogaerts with an RB with a hit to send Tatis to second, and then Cooper flied out to bring Marp to the plate.
Broken bat, fly ball to right. That's going to get down for the first hit of the game. First run of the game. On his way to third. In the throw. Caught and tagged. What a play. Walker throws out Bogaerts, but Tatis scores. Carpenter with his second hit gives San Diego a 1-0 lead.
Jordan Walker taking a lot of heat because he's only played like 160 games in the outfield in his entire life. He's going to be a great outfielder.
He's getting better.
Yep.
That's the second person he's thrown out in the last couple of weeks. He's getting better as a right fielder. You can see all of the athleticism and the arm strength. That was a heck of a throw, heck of a play.
I can't imagine judging somebody who's done anything for less than a year at the age of 21. It really is difficult for me to comprehend why somebody would make that judgment so quickly. When I was a 21-year-old broadcaster, I had no chance. So I can completely empathize with what Jordan Walker is going through, trying to learn defense in front of 30,000 people a night, maybe 20, maybe 15, whatever.
Maybe 8?
Yeah.
It felt very sparse in a lot of ways.
Intimate, Brooke.
Oh, it was intimate. It was an intimate setting. That is the perfect way to say that. Let's go to an intimate evening over at Busch Stadium.
It's like Bruce Springsteen coming in to play The Factory over in Chesterfield or something like that.
A very intimate affair.
It is. So 4-1 was the final, and Adam Wainwright, he had to face Matt Carpenter.
I faced him last year, too, when he was with the Yankees. My main focus, rather than getting him out, was he's not hitting a home run off me. That's not going to be on my conscience the rest of my life. So there was a couple of times where, the right pitch might have been the ride back sinker on the inside half. But I knew he knew me. And I thought, if he's cheating at anything, it'll be that, just to throw one over the fence and have that on me for the rest of my life. And I'm not going to do it. Not going to do it.
Not going to do it.
No. And what a great outing it was for Adam Wainwright, though. I hope that all those people who've been so cynical were able to at least find some way to let their dark heart grow a little bit in seeing that.
Like the Grinch?
Yeah, hate your heart. Let it out.
Yes, just let it out. Because who wouldn't want to see him be able to do that? Now, it was frustrating to, just see the lack of run support. That is what is frustrating, especially in the fourth inning, bases loaded. They have to be kicking themselves for that.
I don't know what more you need, what more you can ask for in those moments. You as you said, bases loaded, and just not getting a runner across.
No,
it's.
And we've been talking about how do we even
troubling.
explain that?
I don't know, because we didn't expect that from this lineup at all.
No.
We expected, we talked about 8 runs a game.
Yeah.
Like, we really
I
felt.
thought they'd be better.
I did too.
Yeah.
I mean, 6 would have been sufficient.
I could have taken that.
Yeah.
Per John Denton, Adam Wainwright has gotten 0 runs of support in 7 of his 18 starts this season. He's gotten 1 run or less in 10 of 18 starts, so not much support from the teammates. Cardinals with 4 hits, 2 of 3 from Goldie, 2 of 4 from Walker, and that's the strikeouts. 12 strikeouts for the night for the Cardinals. Blake Snell's pretty good. 8 left on base and 0 of 6 with runners in scoring position. So the offense is kind of Ram-esque circa 2014, 2015.
It's bad. Oh.
Yeah.
That's
Give him hell with
bad.
Cal. That bad.
That is pretty bad. Being outscored 26-4 in your last 4 games, and I know who they've been facing, right? You had
Again,
Zach
Ram-esque.
Wheeler.
Yeah.
Yes. That's so bad. Aaron Nola, and then Blake Snell. I get it, but at the same time, I don't understand this offense right now because you didn't trade away any hitters. And I know that there's been injuries that you've been battling with Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar, but CD, you went down the list yesterday.
I think.
I mean, these aren't super young guys.
No.
And these are guys that you are going to use next season. Why are they not able to come up in big moments?
Listen to the lineup. Edman, O'Neill, Goldschmidt, all established major leaguers, right? Arenado might be dealing with a bad back. I don't know how long he's had.
About a week back.
Okay. Arenado, Contreras, Gorman.
Just slip that one in.
Kisner, Jordan Walker, Mason Wynn, who's only hitting 152. But that, if nothing else, is a talented lineup. That's a lineup that should be able to muster more than 4 hits on the night.
I don't know, man. I'm watching the game. It becomes extremely frustrating when you see how poorly they're performing. You got Kisner 3-0, bases loaded. He looks at a strike. I'm swinging up out of my shoe. What else do you have to lose? You're at that point. You all are losing. Adam Wainwright is giving you the best he's given you in the last 3 to 4 to 5 starts, and you have an opportunity. What more do you need? What more do you want? Like, I think guys, I know that they look forward to those opportunities, but you gotta make something happen when those opportunities are presented for you, because it's just right now this team is. We got to talk about it, but it's just not a good baseball to watch.
What's Coach Venturi's line? You're either coaching it
or you're allowing it,
and it's happening, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just bases loaded with less than 2 outs. You would think
Choke up, maybe
somebody comes in and scores.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eventually.
Eventually.
I mean, that would be ideal. But when we looked at the numbers yesterday. I know that at least going into yesterday's game, 28th in the league in bases loaded OPS, last in Major League Baseball with the 179 average with the bases loaded. There's something going on there. the situational hitting where they're not able to capitalize in clutch moments. I don't know how you can explain that, because that was not an issue just after the trade deadline. This is something that we've seen this season from this group, and not something that I would expect with a lineup that involves Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt.
The Cardinals do have a phrase that they live by offensively, but is it really happening? That's next as we roll on the opening drive with Brooke, Carey, and Randy on 101 ESPN.
a simple bad grammar terminology, okay? And it's something I have fun with, but something I also take, some seriousness to, but plan on getting gooder.
That is the Cardinal hitting coach Turner Ward on November 11th here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Plan on getting gooder. Get gooder every day.
I thought that was John Denton for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Had a little bit of that Southern twang.
Yeah, no doubt. And the Cardinals have been kind of on a roller coaster, which is fun at times. Roller coasters can be good if you're on the right roller coaster. Not a big fan of roller coasters that go upside down.
I'm not a fan of them at all.
Oh, really?
No.
But like the Cardinals' OPS, first month of the season, 749. Then they go, and that was when they started 10-24. Was that the number, 10-24? But that was 749, the 10-24. Remember, guys, a lot of these players have played in the WBC. So just throw that one out the window.
We have to keep
throw that one out the window.
because that is the important part.
Then in May, their OPS goes from 749 to 759. Then in June, it goes from 755 to 729. Then it goes back up to 806 in July. Then it's down to 720 this month. We are on a figurative roller coaster with the Cardinal offense, and they aren't getting gooder.
They are not getting gooder, but they need to get gooder. That's the issue, right? I just don't know how that you do explain this. Is this more, do you guys feel like a chemistry issue of where they're just not, we discussed it yesterday, the importance of, not being so individualized, which it seems like with analytics and the push for that, that's what you're seeing more from the players. Is it more of a chemistry issue with guys not being in line with each other, or is it a philosophy issue that maybe we're unaware of that they have with the hitters?
Let's start with this. I would have no problem saying it's injuries. 720 this month. I'll put it on injuries. I'll put it on Brendan Donovan and Gorman being out and Lars being out. I'll put this month on those guys. 749, 755, 729, 806 when you didn't have injuries. Carey, it goes back to what you said at the beginning of the season. And I disputed what you said, but you were right. When you said, hey, just have a lineup. Let the guys play. Manager can sit in the dugout with his arms folded. That was always a great thing about Whitey Herzog. He'd sit on the end of the bench with his arms folded. He'd put a lineup out there, and he put his best players out there and gave them the best chance to win. Mm-hmm. And again, this goes back, and it's not a bad thing to use numbers, but when you're completely guided by numbers, and you sit players who should be playing pretty much every day down, I think that winds up being a problem. When you send Jordan Walker down, I think that's a problem. How much better could Jordan Walker be if he would have spent that month here getting gooder at the major league level?
I think he'd be 30 days ahead of where he is right now.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So in my humble opinion, and I am humble about this because there's people that know more about this than I do. The Cardinals did have the ability to be more consistent this year. And at Brooke, chemistry, yes, developing chemistry throughout a lineup is something that has to be done if you want to succeed. Brian Snicker puts the same group of guys out there every day. And they're great. But their OPS is month by month, 783, 788, 940. That's kind of an outlier. 940 OPS for a team for a whole month. 821, 891. The Braves are very consistent and very good, and I think it benefits players to have a role and serve that role consistently.
That is the part right there. When you know what your role is, you're an everyday starter. Mm-hmm. It takes pressure off of you in any sport. You don't have to worry about, if I go 0 for 4, I might not be in the lineup tomorrow. No, the coach trusts you. He believes in you. The manager trusts you. He believes in you. He's going to allow you to have those days where you struggle, have that week where you struggle, have two weeks where you may not be hitting the ball, but you're still going to be where you're supposed to be, and you're not worried about. I think Dylan Carlson is one of those guys that is a constant worrier as to whether or not I'm going to play today. So now every time I come up to bat, I'm probably squeezing that bat tight as hell, trying to make something happen, where instead of just hitting the ball where it needs to go. It's part of the game. It's part of the mental part of the game. When you are not sure or not secure in your role or your spot, you tend to press a little bit more. And I don't know if it's a chemistry issue right now, because I don't think that these guys don't like each other. I don't think that there's friction. I felt like there was friction in the Blues locker room last year at the beginning of the year, but I don't feel like there's any friction here other than, the Wilson Contreras issue, but I think we're past that. I just think that this team is not, they aren't playing well enough to be better than what they are right now. And I do think that they have dealt with injuries. I think Nolan Arenado, I've said it all season long, I think he's been dealing with an injury. And
what do you think he has?
I think he has a bad back.
How long?
About a week back.
Okay.
It's about as common as a common cold right now. I mean,
it
somebody
really
get them something. I mean, some zinc, some vitamin D. I mean, I don't know what else you need. And to the chemistry point, I agree with you. From everything that I've heard and from what I've understood, even going to the clubhouse, these guys do all get along. Of course, you're going to have your separate groups. CD, you were part of a team. Not everybody's going to be best friends. Just because you're on a team together doesn't mean that you're all going to have the same backgrounds, understandings of each other. But from what I've heard and seen, this group does get along. But sometimes I was thinking more of like the chemistry in the lineup, that it's just not clicking. Yeah. And I think that definitely has to do with what you guys are touching on, of not having those defined roles where there's not much consistency and the players kind of looking behind their backs, even though they might get along with their guy. Competition's competition. They're
Yeah.
pro athletes. They're always going to be looking out, knowing that there's somebody younger waiting to take their job and that is right there knocking on the door. So I get that. And then even just moving guys around. The Jordan Walker situation, I don't think I will ever understand. Not getting him more prepared for the outfield a little bit sooner when he was in the minors. It just feels like there's been times this season, too, with Nolan Arenado and Paul Goldschmidt, where you look to those guys, and Nolan, we know that the beginning of the season wasn't exactly great for him, and it felt like the offense also followed suit with that. There was times where when Nolan would go, the offense would go, and vice versa, almost to the detriment of offense. I know that he's not the one completely running it, but I think that he's definitely a leader that a lot of those guys look to and follow by example.
So how did the Cardinals fix this for 2024? If they're going to have the same group of people and, we presume, the same group of coaches, how does this group improve upon what has been, I guess you could call it, and for the Cardinals, an abject failure for 2023? Because they are below average in terms of runs scored per game.
How do they improve?
How do they improve
This year?
Next year for 2024.
I was going to say this year.
For next year, that's going to be tough, because that's my concern. Is last offseason they were so fixated on getting a catcher, which they did, and they were able to accomplish that, but then they thought that was kind of what they needed for going in the season. It seems like they're going to be fixated on pitchers, which I 100% agree with. You need to go get some starting pitchers, but I still believe that there might be some more things that might need to be addressed with this team, especially when you're looking at the situational hitting that you've seen this season.
We'll talk about it later. We have a segment where we'll talk about who's more at fault. But looking at last season, that team went to the playoffs. That team won 91 games. Is that correct? How many?
93.
93 games.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at that team and you bring back most of the pieces from that team from last year, you would not and you add pieces like a Jordan Walker.
Yeah.
You would not assume Anna Wilson Contreras, who was supposed to be a better bat than what Yadier Molina was. You would not expect this team to be in this position. No way in the world. Anyone in St. Louis, anyone that watches baseball, watched this team last year, will believe that they would be in the position that they are in right now. I don't know how that happens. To me, you can't solely blame the manager and say, well, you didn't do a good enough job. He's the same guy. He
didn't do gooder.
Same people. He didn't do gooder. Same people as he had last year for the most part. And this team is 20 games under 500.
You guys want a phenomenal stat? Just an incredible, amazing statistic. In 1990, which is 33 years ago?
1990, yes.
Yep, 33 years ago. The Pittsburgh Pirates under Jim Leland won 95 games. Jay Bell, their shortstop and number 2 hitter, led the National League with 39 sacrifices. What would happen with that team is that Barry Bonds would lead off with a base hit or a walk. Bell would bunt him over, and then he'd get driven home by Van Slyke or Bonilla. 39 sacrifices for Jay Bell, led the league in 1990. In 2023, the Arizona Diamondbacks lead all of baseball with 29 sacrifices. Jay Bell had 39 in 1 year. The Arizona Diamondbacks lead all of baseball as a team with 29.
Oh, Randy, how do you get paid hundreds of millions of dollars by bunting Barry Bonds over?
Well, there you go. There's the issue. There's the
How the
issue.
hell am I going to get paid $100 million for bunting Barry over?
The Cardinals have 8 sacrifices this year.
That's a high number, in my opinion. I'm surprised they have that many.
And by the way, we should point this out. The Braves only have 2.
Their OPS
in fairness, in fact, the bottom 3 teams in terms of sacrifices in Major League Baseball, the Brewers, who have won 9 in a row and lead their division, and the Dodgers, who only have 3. Those 2 teams only have 3 sacrifices. But I still think for a team like the Cardinals, it would be a good idea to be able to manufacture a run when you lose as many one-run games as they do.
Well, and also the Braves are relying on the home run, which is something that we've mentioned as a concern for the Cardinals. But the Braves, if you look at overall, they have more tools in their toolbox that they are utilizing, and they're able to execute on a pretty consistent and high level. I think that that's the biggest difference. If you even look at like stolen bases and doubles, they're pretty high in the league in that. So they're a very well-rounded group, not just reliant on one thing.
Yeah. And to come back to that Pirates team, they were 7th in Major League Baseball in runs scored, even though Jay Bell had, how many sacrifice hits? They had 96 sacrifice hits.
As a team?
The Pirates did that year. Yeah, led the league.
Wow.
and Jay Bell had 39. And they scored, if we talk about scoring first, they scored first all the time.
There you go.
Because they got that runner into scoring position. So there you have it. The Cardinal offense, hope will get gooder for 2024. They need to. Next up, we've got our bird droppings. They're 2-8 in their last 10. Bird droppings next on 101 ESPN. Hey, folks, Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been in business in St. Louis for 55 years, and I'm telling you, there's a reason for it. It's because they do magnificent work. Chesterfield Fence and Deck is A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. They're going to make sure that your job is done right. Every product that they have is guaranteed by a 5-year labor warranty and comprehensive material upgrades, and so they're going to take care of you. They've been the top name in home improvement in St. Louis, and they have a commitment to putting quality and professionalism first in everything they do, and that's why you know that you're going to get a great product, whether it is a fence or a deck, maybe a sunroom, screen room, pergola, from Chesterfield Fence and Deck. You can find them on the web at chesterfieldfence.com or give them a call at 800-300-4054, and if you want, they'll come out to your house. They'll take all of the measurements that you need taken, and then they'll provide a free in-home estimate with no obligation and a free project design. It's a great company to work with. Chesterfield Fence and Deck at chesterfieldfence.com, 800-300-4054. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
This is Rocky with your SportsCenter update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals last night fall to the Padres 4-1. No fault from Adam Wainwright. 6 innings pitched. 8 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, just 1 strikeout in a solid start for Waino as he went for win number 199. But the offense completely stagnant. They get just 4 total hits, all of them from either Goldie or Walker, as Goldie goes 2 of 3 of the game and Walker 2 of 4. Cardinals strand 8 left on base. Back in action tonight against the Padres in Game 2. It's at 6:45. First pitch will be the lefty for the Cardinals, Zach Thompson, facing off against a righty for the Padres, Seth Lugo. Lugo on the season 5-6 with a 3.7 ERA. That is your SportsCenter update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find your road and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Is Bird Watch on the opening drive.
It is time for Bird Droppings on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, Carey Davis, Randy Karraker. Cardinals kind of scuffling, 2-8 in their last 10. I'm not even going to look at what it was beyond the last 10. I'm just going to look at the right side of the column and the 4-game losing streak. But that's all I want to know. That's all I want to know, because I'm assuming it's probably worse than that over the last 15. But here is a bird dropping from Brooke.
All right, my bird dropping. Thank you very much, flying in with that one. So John Rooney, giving him credit for this from KMOX. This was a very interesting tidbit that he dropped during the broadcast last night.
I like tidbits.
So the last Cardinals run to score not via home run was Mason Wynn's first career RBI. And guys, that was, remember when he grounded into the fielder's choice? Mm-hmm. And guys, that was Wednesday. That was this past Wednesday.
Wait, Brooke, that's
6
like
days ago?
5 games.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this again. The last Cardinals run to score not via home run was Mason Wynn's first career RBI, which was this past Wednesday against the Pirates. That 6-4 victory was in the 9th inning.
Is that not good?
It's not good.
Look, what's
it's
your
not
point
good,
here?
CD. What I'm saying is, because we talked about in the last segment, the reliance on the home run that we have seen this season for the Cardinals, and you brought up the Braves, which is a great point, but they have more tools in their toolbox that they're able to utilize, because even if you look at the Braves and what else they're able to do, they're in the top half of the league in both doubles and stolen bases. I think they're like 13th in doubles, 7th in stolen bases. They are a more well-rounded team. So not only can they be reliant on the home run, they are able to utilize other aspects of their game and be pretty good at it, which I think is important for any group. If you even look at, last night, for instance, like Paul Goldschmidt, he hit a home run. That snapped a 22-inning scoreless streak for the Cardinals. That's not good, guys.
No, and the Cardinals, they need to, because of the talent that they're going to have. When you're playing Mason Wynn and Tommy Edman on a regular basis, those guys aren't going to be part of a group that has 44 more home runs than every other team in baseball. So you need to play the game differently, and you need to play utilizing your athleticism. And I don't think, this is just my own personal opinion, that the Cardinals do maximize the athleticism that is available to them on this roster. And Tommy Edman, Mason Wynn so far, and he's only hit a 152, and he's only played for a week and a half. But Newt Barr, I think you could utilize his athleticism better when he's playing. All the games that Tyler O'Neill plays, he's athletic. I think this would be a fun team to utilize.
Last night.
Yeah. Use the athleticism of this group more than you do.
Jordan Walker got to second base on a ball that skipped away. You have the ability to do those things. It's just not. It's not good baseball right now.
No.
So, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, mine is. Thank you, sir. The last 3 games, obviously they played Zach Wheeler, they played Aaron Nola, and they played Blake Snell. Were the starting pitchers that they went against. They have 3 hits, 2 hits, 4 hits in those 3 games. 1 run in those 3 games, and they are 0 for 12 with runners in scoring position in those 3 games. This team last night was a snapshot of what this team has been pretty much all year. Bases loaded, less than 2 outs. I think the game last week, a couple of days ago against the Phillies, you got 2 runners on, less than 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. Those opportunities to not and not scoring is what's killing this Cardinals team. Not getting hits, timely hits. We talked about it earlier in the season. Just not good baseball, not sound baseball, not fun baseball to watch. You expect your best players in that game against the Phillies, you expect Nolan Arenado to come up and get a hit in that moment. You expect Wilson Contreras to get a hit in that moment. Now, yesterday, bases loaded, Andrew Kisner, you told me he's going to be the next starting catcher for the St. Louis Cardinals because he's the best hitting catcher that they have because Wilson Contreras is a DH. Doesn't get the hit in that moment.
And by the way, bases loaded 3-0.
3-0.
So you know he's coming at you.
And he had just walked 2 batters. So I'm taking a shot. I mean, what more do you have to lose? He strikes out. Jordan Walker strikes out. Jordan looked really bad in that strikeout. He had 2 hits last night, but that looked. That
good morning,
good
afternoon, good night.
Yeah, but he was just chasing, swinging, and missing. And so you look at this team and you're trying to figure out, okay, pitching obviously is the most important thing for 2024. One of those guys, obviously Zach Wheeler not, but Aaron Nola, Blake Snell on the market. Go get one. Please and thank you.
Well, and what did we run into in the playoffs last year, right? It's Nola and Wheeler.
If you got one, you're good. If you got 2, you're great. So find a way to get 2 guys this offseason. Do not tell me that they're in the organization, because if they were, they'd be here.
Thank you.
I don't want to hear it.
Right.
Get someone that is not here, that has done it at the highest level, and let's get them in a Cardinal uniform. And let's see if this offense wakes up when they have great pitching every single night. And let's see if the pitching can make sure that we don't give up 8 runs in a game.
And you better figure out a closer that has the stomach to pitch to the 9th in a big day.
Good too.
Yeah. He did.
Nice.
He did. I think one thing that does kind of concern me with what you're talking about too, when it comes to the situational hitting, and we've talked about the bases loaded, is last season, just seeing how that postseason played out, the bats went cold then too. You guys remember that, right? And who was it? Who were the 2 players that came up big? It was Albert Pujols and Yadier Molina, those who had experience in being good kind of clutch hitters throughout their career. What concerned me is some guys that you're relying on not able to really show up in those big moments last season, and then there's times that you're seeing that carry over this season. Is that going to continue into 2024? Because you can go and get, the 2-headed monster, but if you're not able to capitalize in bases loaded situations, then that's concerning.
A lot of guys better get gooder.
When did you say the last run that they had wasn't
last Wednesday?
Okay, it was last Wednesday.
Well, got a text from the 314 and the 618. Said, "Wow, that's almost a week back."
Oh no!
We got it, guys.
Do you guys not notice? I tried to find every way to avoid walking into that,
working around
but you guys always find a way. You guys always find a way.
Our listeners, our texters are great.
Yep. You can text us, of course, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! All right. Dateline, Busch Stadium, Bally Sports, Midwest. Jim Hayes interviewing the Cardinal president of baseball operations, John Mozeliak. The question, how frustrating has it been to watch the Cardinals lately?
Well, I think it's frustrating, and I certainly understand how the fans are looking at this, the front office, ownership, the manager, coaches. I mean, we all expected something different, and so to be playing like we are, it's certainly depressing. And you can define it a little bit in the sense of, like, obviously at the trading deadline, we traded some guys that were contributing away from this club. And then we've also had a rash of injuries. And so when you look at the current club we're running out there, it's not how we envisioned it. And, it's unfortunate. We still have to play these games. They still count. And, hopefully we can find a stride that starts making sense for us. And we should be getting a few people back from the IL over the course of this next week. And hopefully that has a positive impact.
So you think it's depressing? Hold my beer.
When was that interview?
How about that?
Last night. So the same thing I said about Ali in terms of young guys trotting out there. To me, and I'm sure to other people, that sounds like an excuse.
Yeah.
Those guys that played last night and the last few nights are your guys. What more do you just say? All you have to say is, we didn't play well. We're not playing well. We have to be better. We're not good right now. and leave it at that. Sometimes you talk too much and then you start talking yourself into excuses. Randy, we got the hell kicked out of us on Saturday night, man.
12-1.
I'm not going to tell.
Oh, your team. No, you're. Oh, 54 0.
54 to nothing. We got beat. Well, we didn't have this, this happened, the Heat last week. Who cares?
Yeah.
No one cares. You're not playing well. Your team is not playing well. Maybe it wasn't constructed well. That's everyone involved. Every person that has, you're 20 games under 500. 18 and a half games back in the division. Mm-hmm. Every single person that goes to the stadium every single day has a hand in what has taken place in this team, for this team this year. No one is left without blame. Mm-hmm. Stop making excuses. Get better. Leave it at that. Don't make any more excuses. I'm sick of it.
And I agree.
It's not even Thursday.
It's not even Thursday. Well, I think that we've all been sick of it for a while, and I think that's a very valid, very, very valid point, CD. Nobody wants to hear the excuses. Nobody wants to hear patience. Nobody wants to hear that kind of stuff. Remember how many times we heard patience early on the season, but I did think it was interesting, and remember that interview we did with Frank, or not, we didn't do that, but Frank Cusimano did with John Mozeliak. Frank asked John about when he started to notice that maybe something wasn't going right with this team, and he said April. And then, but what did we hear around that time too was patience, all this stuff. And maybe they did think that they were able to do enough because we heard from guys where they believed that they would be able to still win the division and come out on top. But it just seemed like there was not a sense of urgency this season. And nobody wants to hear the excuses either about this.
Cares.
No.
Just say we're not good enough. We haven't played well enough. We will fix it in the offseason. I don't care that you traded away pitchers. What the hell does that have to do with the lineup not hitting?
Carey, you are the CEO of the football team at Hazelwood Central, and you lost 54-0 on Saturday night. Whose fault is it?
It's mine.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's mine.
Thank you.
It ain't nobody else's. It's mine. I got to make sure our guys are prepared and not turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. Make sure we're in the right coverages. Make sure we understand exactly what it's my fault. It ain't nobody else's. It's on me.
Yep.
And even if it ain't, I'm going to still take it.
That's a leader. That's accountability.
And because then your players, too, when they see that, they will take accountability for their own actions, and then people start to come together more. Because when you start playing the blame game, then everybody's coming up with excuses, right?
I totally do. That's me.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
You're never going to get gooder that way.
Oh, my God. No.
Ratings are down. Oh, it's Carey and Brooke. It's not me. It's the opening drive on 101. But totally, it's Matthew. He's a producer.
Oh, yeah. That's
the fall guy.
Get your phone guy.
Take it or leave it. Next on 101 ESPN. Text 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO-HO. Get your text in now for Take It or Leave It.
it or leave it.
Want to say something? Want to put it out there? If you like it, you can take it. If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Matthew, we'll get to your texts in a moment. Brooke, Carey, Randy. All right, kids, take it or leave it. There is a mantra now over at the Cardinals offices on Clark Avenue, and it is...
Oh.
Take it or leave it.
I'll tell you.
I'm going to take it. I'm going to take
It
it.
might have been there for a while.
It is.
About 3 years now.
Yeah, get you a fall guy.
Get you a fall guy.
Who is going to be the fall guy in
That's a
this
great
situation?
It's a great question.
Everybody coming. You know what? That's a rough work environment to be in when there's no. I say this. It doesn't matter what organization you are in. If it's not good at the top, it's not going to be a good organization. If the people at the very top, everything my coach used to say, bleep rolls downhill. And so he would get cussed out because of how poorly we were performing, and he would give it right to us. So, it starts at the top. When things aren't run well at the very top, people underneath you don't know which way to go, and they aren't doing their job effectively. So that's no matter what business, what organization, what sports team, it will always start at the top.
I agree, 100%.
So I know you all saw this. We were watching it. Ronald Acuna was accosted by two fans yesterday. Got knocked down by one. One was holding on to him for dear life, grabbing on, trying to take a selfie. Take it or leave it. Ronald Acuna needed Messi's guy in the side.
Take it.
I'm going to take that.
Foul territory, just patrolling, making sure somebody didn't run out there and try to touch him.
I feel bad for ushers now because back in my day when I was an usher, I would have crushed that guy's skull.
Did you ever have to take somebody out?
Yeah, but I slipped on the wet tarp.
Oh, did you?
Are you serious?
Missed your chance?
Yeah. Well, that one I missed, but I did get one.
Wow.
Boom, boom, boom. But yeah, if I'm an usher, and that's where the black outrage comes in. Sometimes it's a negative, sometimes it's a positive.
You get flashbacks back to that moment?
Yeah, right. Ronald would have thanked me, but that in front of maybe millions of people on TV. Well, now it's been all over SportsCenter too. Yeah, just three quick ones right to the kisser. On the ground.
What are you doing?
Hold him by the shirt. Boom, boom, boom. And then, we would have to drag him back to the wagon gate.
I can respect that. So James Harrison slammed a fan.
That was beautiful.
Yeah.
Beauty.
Well, it was just weird because the first fan went and hugged him and grabbed him, and the security tried pulling him off, but they were kind of being slow about it. And then the second guy comes out of nowhere, and it's like, what are you guys doing? And then finally some of the players had to come over. It felt like it was so slow the way that it played out. Should have been handled quicker.
Nicer than I would have been as well.
Yeah, and then then another person was weird because there was one person, then another person. You talk about it unfolding slowly. Then apparently another person came out of the stands and tried to do the same thing. They weren't together, which is weird.
No. Well, and let me just say one thing. You cannot try that here at Busch Stadium because Phil, the security guy, oh my God, he will not. And I love Phil. Phil is fantastic. That man is tough. You will not be able to get past him. Don't even try. Don't even try.
You don't want to mess around in Philly.
That laser worked good.
It did.
Woo-wee. I mean, he put a laser on him, man. He went down like a
Sack onion. He did.
It would take him a little while to get his heart beating.
Oh.
Woo-wee.
I miss Mike Shannon. That was amazing. The sack of onions is one of my favorites. That's great.
And there's video of that. I think with Mike Schilt watching it all unfold and saying they're going to blank this guy up.
It's amazing. All right, take it or leave it, guys. We had our fantasy football draft last night. A little stressful. Take it or leave it. I don't like two quarterback leagues. That should be illegal.
I'll take it. So
okay.
Do you hear that, BK? BK, I know you're listening.
He is listening.
We are not giving him a break.
BK is our commissioner of our league. Last year he made he made a terrible mistake of having the rounds 30 seconds. This year he went.
You don't think it was intentional? Maybe.
I think it was an accident because everyone was stressed out. There was more stress last year than there was this year.
Yeah,
I was kind of stressed. I panicked.
Two quarterbacks quarterback leagues, I stay away from trying to get 2 quarterbacks because it never works out well.
No.
For me. My second quarterback one year was Eli Manning, and let's just say I could have had more points from a running back every week. So unless you get 2 guys, and then the rest of your lineup is thrown.
How does Derrick Henry not wind up on your team?
I was and that was another thing that stressed me out, is it's a 14-person league. And so I was watching. I had things in queue. Derrick Henry was on there. Now, I did keep to my namesake. I don't know if you guys noticed that. My team name is Rogers Darkness Retreat.
Okay.
And I even put a picture of his Darkness Retreat on there. And Aaron Rodgers was one of my quarterbacks. So I was able to do that. I was able to get Burks, so hopefully he'll be fully healthy and ready to go. I really wanted Derrick Henry. I was afraid of saying it out loud to anybody in the group chat, and he just slipped right by me.
He was there for you, though.
He was there for a while, wasn't he?
No, he got taken literally right before me.
Oh, was it right? Because I typed, here goes Derrick Henry.
It was
right before
it was
her pick.
right before me.
Okay,
yes.
The pick right before you.
Yeah.
Yeah, my team. By the way,
I think Rock was auto-drafted.
He was.
Yeah, he
you
was.
auto-drafted, didn't you?
I missed my first pick, and
How do you miss the first pick?
because the app told me the app wasn't updating me. It said you have 3 picks to go, and then all of a sudden I get the text Rock, and I'm like, so I hit refresh, and it's like you have 12 seconds left. I'm like, no, you guys told me I had 3 picks to go.
I was so confused because I was like, man, just already kind of mailing it in on the first pick, huh?
I had a lot of connection issues last night and problems with the app. It was bothering me.
So T-Bone kept taking players where I thought that I was going to get him.
Yeah.
And so T-Bone wound up with a really good-looking team. I really like his team.
We got to stop T-Bone because I didn't like his memes that he was posting last year. And the executioner.
He's pretty good.
Going to each
Wait,
shore.
is that what he was doing?
Oh, yeah,
He's one of those people?
He had a meme.
I got his ass though.
Everybody.
He put out a meme because he took down Marshy, Randy, and CD, and then he put out a meme, tagged me that the Grim Reaper was knocking on my door, and he lost.
There you go.
Yeah. It was a rough season for me. I think I might have won 2 games last year.
So, by the way, I was debating between 2 names yesterday. The first name that I had was Cromartie's 15th kid. But then I switched to Kyler's film room.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah. Matthew, do we have any texts?
Ollie needs to watch the new Florida Gators documentary under Urban Meyer and learn a thing or 2 about firing up a locker room, right?
Oh.
I haven't seen it yet. I heard it was missing a few things.
Aaron Hernandez. We
Riley
discussed
Cooper.
that. Yeah. Well, I think it kind of supposedly paints
Cam
him.
Newton.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
You can't miss out on that.
They didn't have any of that in there.
They took out
And then they have Chris Rainey. I guess I was watching someone he was just talking about him eating spaghetti and watching cartoons. And they just left out the whole Chris Rainey story, the part where he got arrested, I believe.
Yeah.
That seems like a story you'd keep in there.
I would think that you'd want to have Aaron Hernandez shooting a guy in the face.
Nah.
I guess because he got his own
College.
documentary.
Oh,
Did you
that's
guys
true.
watch that documentary, by the way?
No, I didn't watch
The friendship with his teammate was that was a twist. M. Night Shyamalan, or what is his name? Shyamalan twist. That was a doozy. Watch it at your own discretion.
Okay.
Take it or leave it. The Arizona Cardinals finished with a worse winning percentage than the St. Louis Cardinals.
Ooh, good one.
Yeah,
That is a good one.
I like
That
this
is.
I'm going to say.
What is our winning percentage right now?
So it's a 423 right now
For Cardinals?
for the Cardinals. Yes, St. Louis.
And the
Arizona Cardinals.
Arizona Cardinals go 4-13.
Take it. That's less. That's worse.
Yeah.
That's 23%.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to take
I'll
it.
take that.
4-13. It's going to be a rugged year. Although Kyler is going to come back.
They just cut Colt McCoy.
He's
We're
gone.
going to start Joshua Dobbs or a rookie.
Joshua Dobbs or Clayton Tune.
Is that where Joshua Dobbs is
Just
now?
got traded.
Yeah.
I can never keep up. He was with Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I've always liked him. I think he's a good
too.
player. He just needs an opportunity.
Yep, I
He's a
liked him at
rocket
Tennessee. Yeah. Literally a rocket scientist.
Yes.
Take it or leave it. Miles Michaelis is the Cardinals' de facto #1 in 2024.
Oh, leave it.
Oh, we've discussed this before. No.
I love Miles. But I want him to be my number 2 guy.
I think he's going to be your number 3.
Surprised.
I don't want
no.
that kind of surprise.
Sorry, Carey, what was that?
Don't be surprised.
Okay. I will not.
I mean, listen, I I have seen enough to know that anything is possible.
That is the season. That is for sure. Anything is possible.
Yep.
Typically it means something good, but not this season.
Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you, Randy.
And thanks very much for your text. We mentioned, or did we, that the Cardinals are 20 games under 500?
Yeah.
Does it concern you that the Cubs have played 18 games over 500 since June 8th? That's next on our Fresh Take here on 101 ESPN.
Fresh perspective on the day's top stories. It's the Opening Drive's Fresh Take.
Brought to you by Schnucks Rewards. Reward yourself. Earn 2% back on every purchase with the Schnucks Rewards app.
St. Louis Time Check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Well, the Cardinals lost 4-1 to the Padres last night, and that's kind of become a usual occurrence here in St. Louis. The Cardinals are now 20 games under 500. The Chicago Cubs continue to roll. They did fall last night to the Brewers by a score of 6-2, but overall, the Cubbies are 18 games over 500 since June 8th, and if the playoffs started today, well, the Cubs would be in the playoffs. And the Cubs, yes, they do have Cody Bellinger heading towards free agency, but they've been doing this without Marcus Stroman. And they've got a pretty young team. Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner, their middle infielders. We kind of thought the Cardinal middle infielders might win Gold Gloves. Mm-hmm. Well, the Cubs middle infielders are going to win Gold Gloves. Cody Bellinger has been a revelation for them. He worked with Matt Holliday during the offseason, and he has been sensational for them. They've gotten good work out of Seiya Suzuki there. And we're going to talk to Jesse Rogers of ESPN about this in a few minutes. But my question is this. Are you concerned that a Cubs team that doesn't appear to be as talented as the Cardinals, and maybe we just like our guys better, I don't know what the deal is, but are you concerned that the Cubs are so far ahead of the Cardinals in terms of where they are and where we expect the Cardinals to be headed?
Yeah, because my question is, how had they been able to make this work for them, where they were able to really maximize these guys? I think, one, keeping Cody Bellinger, I think a lot of people felt different ways about that, if they should try to trade him, and they decided to obviously stick with him, and it's paying off. My question is, how have they been able to maximize their talent?
And why have the Cardinals not? And part of it is they do have a reasonably veteran team. They don't have the rookies that the Cardinals have. Candelario's been around. He's their DH now. We mentioned Suzuki, who came over from Japan last year. Mike Tauchman has played a lot of center field for them in addition to Bellinger. Ian Happ has been around. Swanson has been around. Madrigal is a young player playing third base for the first time. But then Horner and Bellinger and Patrick Wisdom, Jan Gomes, they've got a pretty veteran team. But all of those guys seem to be playing, Cody Bellinger aside, the best baseball that they've ever played.
They are. I mean, this is a team that, I think we wanted Cody Bellinger at one point. He were talking about him, whether or not he would come to St. Louis. He's done a fantastic job this year. The Cubs are just playing better, and they have we talked about it last week or 2 weeks ago, the pipeline, the rookies, the younger guys that they have coming up are better than what the Cardinals have as well, because their minor league system is better than the Cardinals. Really, everyone in our division right now is better than the Cardinals. So it's going to be potentially something that we have to see for some time. I don't know why the Cardinals have struggled so much in comparison to what the Cubs have, since June 8th. I think that was the date you said. Mm-hmm. I have no clue. I don't have a rhyme or reason. I think the Cardinals are constructed well enough to be much better than they are, but for whatever reason, it has not all tied together, and for the Cubs, it has.
Cubs have a couple of things going for them. Number one, their offense has performed to a level where they're fifth in the league in scoring in runs per game. And they're middle of the pack in terms of run prevention. Their earned run average is 4.16. The league average is 4.33. But they have another thing that the Cardinals don't have. They don't need to go out and look for a number one starter this offseason, because Justin Steele has become that guy. And when you have that guy, I've always said that makes everything fall in place behind the number one. Steele's 14-3 with a 2.80. He's struck out 133 hitters. Now, all of a sudden, Stroman, who is, and by the way, he's hurt right now, but Stroman can be a number two pitcher. He's not a number one, but he's a perfect number two. Kyle Hendricks pitches better. Jamison Tyone, not great as a free agent pickup, but at least he's given them a few innings this year, and Javier Assad is their fifth starter. They have a really nice unit. That's what I'll give them credit for. Jed Hoyer and David Ross have put together maybe not the most talented group as you look at them on paper, but a really nice baseball unit that plays really well together.
And they were considering trading Stroman at the deadline and went against it, decided not to do it.
And Bellinger, yes.
And decided, we're going to push, we're going to continue to go forward. Do you think that maybe if the Cardinals had decided that we're going to not be sellers at the deadline, that they would have gotten this bad, or do you think we would be in the same position regardless of if Flaherty and Montgomery were still here?
I think that's a good,
I think it's a good, I think they would be better, but I don't think that they would. I still
they wouldn't
think
be 20 games under 500.
Yeah, they probably would be
not.
tied with Pittsburgh for last place rather than alone in last place.
Yeah, well, and they're
bullpen's still the bullpen.
Yeah, it is. The bullpen's still the bullpen. I think there is some positives from trading away Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty, that you were able to get these pieces, these young players. Tekoa Roby is somebody that's exciting that we've seen here recently pitching after he's been dealing with an injury. He was activated from that. And then you have Thomas Sajaci. That's another piece that you were able to get in this. I think there's some encouraging moments. It's weird because I don't think that they would be exactly that much better even with those guys, if they would have been able to keep around. And then you would look really silly when it comes to the offseason because, of course, they're going to go test out the waters. I just can't figure out as to how we've gotten in this position with the Cardinals this season and how they're going to approach things in the offseason to fully address all of this. Because when you're talking about the Cubs and even the Brewers, you have to think about the division moving forward and being able to stay competitive in it and grow with the rest of the division.
I think that we got to this point. I mean, I felt like when I watched Jordan Hicks perform, I said to you, Randy, I said he's a closer or he's a starter. He's not a seventh or eighth inning guy. That's not his personality. He does not come across as that way. But you have Ryan Helsley as your closer. So what role does he fit? You got Genesis Cabrera, who obviously can really pitch. Since he's gone to Toronto, he's done a great job, but for whatever reason wasn't given, I guess, as many opportunities or the opportunity that he was looking for here. Jordan Montgomery and Jack Flaherty, they are who they are. You knew who they were. If you expected more, then maybe your expectations were a little bit too high. But you knew that they were going to be guys that could give you innings and give you starts and hopefully give you quality starts most of the time. This team just did not do well enough around everybody as a whole. People not taking care of their parts, people injured, people missing time. You got outfielders in the infielders in the outfield. And so it just turned to a situation where you're looking at this Cardinals organization and you're trying to figure out how in the hell are the Cubs that much better going forward than we are, maybe this year and next year.
The other thing that I've paid attention to in the last couple of weeks and listening to Eduardo Perez a lot, whether it's on Sirius XM or on Sunday Night Baseball, and he had an interview the other night that was really interesting with the first base coach, Eric Young of the Braves, and he pointed out the veteran nature and the championship pedigree of their staff. Brian Snitker has put together a staff that, and we mentioned it yesterday, Ron Washington and Rick Kranitz and Kevin Seitzer and that group. Here's what the Cubs have. They've got two-time world champion manager, a catcher, and David Ross, who played in Major League Baseball for about 15 years. You've got a former Major League manager in Andy Green. You've got a world champion in Mike Napoli as your first base coach. You've got a world champion in Willie Harris as your third base coach. I think especially when you have young players now, if you have people on your staff that are able to go to them and say, here's how you win a World Series, I can tell you because I've got the ring, I think it makes a big difference. I think that, and obviously, especially as you get into August and September, one of the reasons, and we'll ask Jesse Rogers about this, one of the reasons I think the Cubs will be fine is because that's a different sport, and the Cardinal staff, which is a terrific teaching staff, but they don't have that pedigree. They can't go to a player like Jordan Walker and say, okay, here's how you go through September and October, because they never experienced it. And the Cubs staff has that. The Rangers staff has that. The Astros staff has that. The Braves staff has that. It's just, there's... and now you look at the way that the Nationals have turned things around. The Nationals staff, with a young team, it's just a different thing altogether. And I think that respect garnered from people that have played at the highest level really does make a difference.
See, but I think your teammates being able to explain it to you carries value as well. I mean, you got Wilson Contreras, you got Adam Wainwright. Those guys have been through it. But when you ostracize Wilson Contreras in the manner in which they did to start the season, well, hell, this is where we are. This is who we are. We're not a unit right now. We're just a bunch of guys that wear the same uniform, but we're not all on the same team. We're not all working towards the same goal. And if you have guys that have been there, that have done it, I think one of the most troubling parts of this whole thing, this entire season, is Paul Goldschmidt will be a year older next year, and so will Nolan Arenado.
Yeah,
that's that to me is the most disheartening part, because those guys, the older you get, the longer you get in the tooth, the further away it seems from you actually getting to that championship. And that's hard for me as a player, knowing that two great players will be a year older trying to get to their first championship.
And to your point, those young Cubs players, they remember Dansby Swanson holding up the trophy. They remember Cody Bellinger holding up the trophy. Kyle Hendricks can say, hey, we won in 2016 here. We can do it here. So, yeah, there's a lot to be said for that. Coming up, Jesse Rogers of ESPN with more on why the Cubs have gotten better. Next on 101 ESPN. I run into so many people that have allergy problems, and I have a question for you. When was the last time you got your ductwork cleaned in your home? Have you done construction recently? Or do you have pets? You need to get in touch with Hoffman Brothers. The air you breathe runs through the ductwork, and over time, pet dander and dust and dirt and pollen and other particulars build up. And by cleaning those things out, the air you breathe will be much cleaner and help with allergies and asthma and other respiratory issues. Hoffman Brothers offers duct cleaning. Call today to schedule your duct cleaning or visit HoffmanBros.com for more information. Hoffman Brothers is an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer, and not only can they do heating and cooling and duct cleaning for you, but they'll also do a fantastic job of appliance repairs. They do appliance repairs, do a fantastic job on those, and if your appliance is dead, and that's the reason they sell new ones, Hoffman Brothers also provides appliances and appliance installation. Get in touch with them. You can give them a call at 314, and it's easy to remember, 314-664-3011, or find them on the web at HoffmanBros.com. Brooke Grimsley, Super Bowl champ Carey Davis, Randy Karraker, great to have you with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. And we go to the celebrity line right now. And our friend Jesse Rogers of ESPN joins us. Jesse, always good to have you with us. Thanks for your time. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well.
Good. I want to start with this, and you are a fantastic reporter, but I want an opinion here. What do you think of the fact that the Cardinals and Cubs met for the last time in the season on July 30th?
Yeah, seeing a little bit of a schedule tweak. I like most people, I don't mind them reducing the number of games in the division, but perhaps September should be filled with more of that, at least playing your division opponent once, right? I think that would make sense in September. I think I was looking at maybe the White Sox, who end the season like, I don't know if it's 10 games interleague play or something crazy like that. Like, you can't have that. I think you need a little bit more divisional games in September, maybe a few in April, and then the middle of the season you go across leagues and things like that. So perhaps they can adjust that in the future. But it does put an emphasis more on division games whenever you play them, especially considering tiebreakers to get in the playoffs and win divisions is head-to-head. So less games, more important, nothing wrong with that, but maybe there should be a few in September.
And Jesse Rogers, one of the reasons we wanted to talk to you, and we touched on this in our last segment, the Cubs have been 18 games over 500 since their low water mark on June 8th. Why have the Cubs been able to turn it around and become so solid?
Yeah, normally I'd say, starting pitching. It actually hasn't necessarily been that. Usually that's what anchors you, and certainly Justin Steele, who goes for win number 15, has turned into an ace. So he's been great. But behind him, it's been a little bit shaky. There's been some good, some bad. So it's been a combination of things, as you'd imagine. If it's not starting pitching, it has been a really good offense, mostly because Cody Bellinger anchors it right in the middle, and it's deeper now that Jeimer Candelario has joined them. And now their bullpen has turned to a strength. I mean, Tommy Hotovy has been the Cubs pitching coach over the last few years. I don't think he's sort of known nationally, but he's turned into a good one. And they have, I should say, churned out some players. They flipped at the deadline. Like, I've talked to executives on other teams. They kind of like what the Cubs are doing in terms of developing pitchers, and it's really come to fruition over the last couple of years. The back end of their bullpen was unknown to start the season. Now Adbert Azalea has made a name for himself as a closer. Mark Leiter Jr. as a setup man, really good against lefties with one of the best splits in the league. So I wish I could give you one thing, but it's just a bunch of things coming together. Bringing in experienced guys like Swanson and Bellinger, knowing how to win. Their defense up the middle with Swanson and Horner and Bellinger has been great. Jan Gomes has really been steady behind the plate. So it's just a team that kind of came together, and not necessarily because of their starting pitching. So it's been a little bit of everything.
The Cubs are playing well. Conversely, the Cardinals are not. They are 20 games under 500, 18 and a half games back in the division. I don't think anyone saw this happening. What has happened this season to the Cardinals?
Yeah, I don't think you have to look much deeper than starting pitching. I'm sure it's something you've talked about daily. They rank, 26th, I think, in starters ERA. You're not getting it done. You're just not getting it done. For example, the Cubs rank 14th. Now, that's not anything to write home about, but you can compete ranking 14th in starters ERA. You can't compete at 26. And granted, they traded Jordan Montgomery. Maybe it's gotten worse, but it was pretty bad at the more important times of the season. Wainwright's been a disaster, right? Everybody sort of besides Jordan Montgomery has had their struggles at times. So it's that. And a lot of people predicted it. Mozeliak didn't necessarily see it coming in terms of it being this bad. But, look, if it's shaky, yeah, they're performing at less than a 10% chance of this happening. But when you're already going into the season with a wonky staff, you're asking for trouble. And that's exactly what happened. Like, they were shaky to start, and you're getting like a 10th percentile performance out of them. And that's why you end up being where you are in the standings.
Well, Jesse, playing off of that, John Mozeliak and the Cardinals have mentioned that they are going to be focused on starting pitching this offseason. But in your opinion, what is the realistic likelihood that they're going to be able to acquire 3 starting pitchers? And if you were the Cardinals, is there anything else on your checklist that you think that they should address?
Look, you can find 3 starting pitchers. How good are they, right? Stick a guy in the back end, you'll find that kind of guy. I mean, when you're looking for 3 starters, okay, you got to spend some money. You maybe got to make that big trade, but you also have to find a diamond in the rough. You got to find a guy that's going to do something that you don't expect, and that's their scouting department's job. So, yeah, spend some money on a guy, but there's contending teams always have guys that come out of nowhere. I know there was some chatter about Dylan Cease. I think he could be on the market this offseason. That's why his name came up during July, because they were just testing the waters, I think, for the offseason. So there'll be a few guys available via trade and obviously some free agents. But to hit home runs on 3 of them, yeah, that's a long shot. I think you have to have a succession plan at some point here for Goldschmidt as the age starts to creep up, although he's still performing, still stealing bases. I was looking at that the other day. I think offensively you're pretty damn good. You're pretty good. But you need to have that succession plan in place at first base for sure. But otherwise, you still have that farm system churning out some players. Get Jordan Walker's getting his at bats. I don't have a problem with their offense. Maybe Wilson Contreras, second year in the system. We won't see the controversy you saw before. So I'd really put most of my focus on that pitching staff. And yeah, we've heard for 2 years now rumors they might trade one of their outfielders. And I thought Dylan Carlson was going to be on the move in the at the deadline. That didn't happen. So I think they'd be ready to trade one of their outfielders for pitching for sure, as we've been sort of thinking about for the last couple of years. But that pitching staff is really where they have to revamp things.
ESPN's Jesse Rogers with us on 101 ESPN. And Jesse, a lot of ears perked up in St. Louis when people heard the name of Dylan Cease. Are you hearing any names about who might get the White Sox job with the firing of Rick Hahn as their general manager?
Yeah, all signs pointing towards an internal hire. Bob Nightingale reported Chris Getz. I haven't heard anything to dissuade me from that idea. The fact that they want someone in place before the end of the season probably is limiting in terms of where they do their interviews, how they do their interviews. So I think they're getting their T's crossed, their I's dotted to promote Chris Getz from within. And I think that's going to happen in short order. And, there's a lot of controversy about that here in Chicago. Why promote the guy that helped with the failed rebuild in the first place? But you never know. I mean, here's my feeling on things like hiring from losing organizations and stuff. You can find good people on losing teams. in losing organizations. There's good people there, and sometimes their leadership is down the totem pole a little bit, and they may have some ideas they haven't been able to express. So you give them the top job, and they're able to do that. So we'll see. I hold off judgment on people without a track record, but it does sound like it's going to be an internal hire.
And I want to ask you one more thing about Dylan Cease, because nobody in this room wants the Cardinals to move Nolan Gorman. But would Nolan Gorman, with his power potential and a really good young pitching prospect, be enough to pry Dylan Cease away from the White Sox?
Yeah, I think so. He's only got 2 years left. So, yeah, if you're the Sox, you're getting maybe close to full value. It's two full seasons, and that means two guys like you mentioned. I think that would definitely be enough. And I look, every good trade hurts a little bit, right? And there's a strength there for the Cardinals, and you're feeling a weakness. I don't think you look back if you trade Gorman and say, oh, look what he's doing now in 26 or something. No, you have a huge weakness. The most important part of your team is a disaster right now. You're pitching a guy with an 8 ERA trying to get to win 199, desperately trying to get there. And so, look, you got to fix that. And if it hurts somewhere else, so be it. And so I think you sort of take that trade if it presents yourself and you go get Dylan Cease.
Jesse, you talked about Wilson Contreras in his second year, next year, maybe being better. Do you see a possibility where the Cardinals keep 3 catchers and maybe make him the full-time DH?
I do. I don't know if it'd be as soon as next year. I mean, as catchers age, that's a good place to put them now in the National League. And I don't think he's showing signs of aging, but in a couple years he might be. So I don't think as soon as next year. Now, if their pitching prospects don't get better, I mean, the Cubs went out and got Yan Gomes to replace Contreras, and frankly, he's been pretty good offensively, but man, he's done a good job settling down that staff. So as I'm talking about starting pitching being so important, if things don't work with Wilson behind the plate, then you've got to think that way at some point. But I wouldn't think as soon as next year unless things just go south again, and you've got to get a defensive catcher in there. I mean, Martin Maldonado has one job. He can hit 120 for the Astros, but he has a job to do, and that's an important job. And so, if things go south on the mound again, I didn't ever thought it was fair to blame Wilson, but you might have to try something else. So I would say, yes, that's a possibility, but maybe not as soon as next year.
Jesse Rogers, one more thing, and I wanted to circle back to the Cubs. If the playoffs started today, the Cubs would be in the wild card, obviously, and the Dodgers would be waiting things out. Do you believe that and I don't even know what the status of Marcus Stroman is right now, but if they have Steele and Stroman at the front, could the Cubs beat Philadelphia with Wheeler and Nola at the front of their rotation?
Probably not, because we're also talking about if you just told me Stroman was pitching like he was early in the season, if you had a crystal ball, then okay, maybe Steele and Stroman, but without any guarantee he's going to be pitching effectively and playing all 3 on the road against the World Series team from last year, against Bryce Harper. I will say this, I'm not assured that Wheeler and Nola are going to be great again because there's a lot of mileage on those arms, even just going back a year. So I think the Cubs could score some runs, but I think the Phillies could score more. I would say they'd be at least a 2-1 underdog, if not more, in that series. So anything's possible in a best of 3, but I would certainly make the Philadelphia Phillies the strong favorite in that one.
Jesse Rogers, you're always fantastic with your information. Thanks so much for the time. We appreciate it, and I'm sure that before the season concludes, we'll talk one more time.
Anytime. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you. Jesse Rogers, ESPN on 101 ESPN. So interesting notes as to why the Cubs are better. He says it's the offense. Normally when a team gets better, it's because the pitching kicks in. But their offense, and specifically, everybody has seen it, Cody Bellinger has turned into the player he was when he won an MVP with the Dodgers. And you get that middle of the lineup presence, and then you add the defense that defense up the middle has been really good with Swanson and Horner. It makes a difference. And Yan Gomes behind the plate, they have built that team well.
That's important.
Kind of important, yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Gold glove, second baseman.
Gold glove, shortstop.
It's pretty important.
Yep.
Why don't they just throw him in the outfield?
What are they thinking?
Yeah.
Clearly.
Coming up, we have the fight for you here on 101 ESPN.
Hey, it's Carey for Window Nation. Are you feeling the heat? Well, high temps aren't the only thing getting you hot under the collar. Wait till you see your energy bills. The solution? I recommend my friends at Window Nation for new energy-efficient windows. Your home stays comfortable and cool. Your AC will avoid any premature breakdown, and you will save thousands on those high energy bills. Not to mention the incredible savings Window Nation is offering right now. You can get 50% off of any style window, bows, bays, double hung, sliders, 50% off. Plus, put zero down, make zero payments with 0% interest for 24 months. So maintain your chill and lower your bill and fill your home with new windows from Window Nation. Get 50% off of any style window and no money down. Make no payments and pay no interest for 2 years. Call 866-90-NATION. You can get a pair of St. Louis Cardinals tickets with a purchase of a house of windows. I'll say that again. A pair of St. Louis Cardinals tickets with a purchase of a house of windows. 866-90-NATION, or go online at windownation.com and tell them Carey sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals yesterday continue their losing streak, pushing it to 4 games as they fall to the Padres 4-1. Adam Wainwright with a solid start. No win number 199, unfortunately. 6 innings pitched, 8 hits, 1 earned run, 3 walks, and 1 strikeout. Cardinals back in action tonight for the second game of their series against the Padres. Zach Thompson takes the ball for the Cardinals for the start. That is your Sports Center update, brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
101 ES. Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Karraker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. I'm Carey Davis, joined by Brooke Grimsley, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Dan. Dan, how you doing?
Good, Carey. How are you?
Doing well. Are you ready to take on Randy Karraker?
Ready as can be.
All right, here we go. On this day last season, Albert Pujols set one of his many records, passing Barry Bonds and homering off his 450th different pitcher. Which Reds pitcher did he hit that home run off of? Is it Buck Farmer, Ross Detweiler, or Jeff Hoffman?
Wow. We'll try Detweiler.
Who is the only rookie quarterback to throw more than 30 touchdowns? Is it Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, or Justin Herbert?
I had Dan Marino in my head. What were the three again?
Andrew Luck, Peyton Manning, or Justin Herbert?
It's got to be Manning or Herbert. Seems like Manning didn't get that good of a start, so we'll say Herbert.
Happy birthday to Roy Oswalt. Which Cardinal had the most career hits against Oswalt in his pitcher's career with 28? Albert Pujols, Matt Holliday, or Carlos Beltran?
Well, it seems like Beltran would have been a teammate, so it's going to be, I'm going to say Holliday.
Only 3 players have ever started their career with 4 straight seasons of 25 home runs and 100 RBIs. Joe DiMaggio did it first. Albert Pujols completed the feat on this day in 2004. But which current AL slugger was the third? Is it Mike Trout, Carlos Correa, or Jose Abreu?
Mike Trout.
All right, we're going to double check the score and bring in Randy Karraker.
Dan, how you feeling?
Not well.
No? Okay. Or is it just the fight, or is it something? You okay? Everything good?
Everything all right in
I'm
life?
going to say a little bit of both.
Cardinals season?
Cardinals, definitely.
Yeah.
If you've been watching that, I can understand. I'm with you there, brother. It's been tough on all of us. Randy is here, ready to roll. Looking
What is the
very
snack
focused.
today?
He didn't have anything.
I had a
in
banana.
there. Oh, he had
a
that
banana
before
before I left.
Randy, say hello to Dan.
crumbs.
Dan, good morning. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for hosting. Thanks for beating me in advance.
I appreciate that. Good.
All right,
So
ready?
I am.
But you don't have a drink, so
I had a Propel earlier. I've got another Propel on the way.
if I didn't see it, I don't know that you had it.
Okay, it's in the recycling over there.
All right. You ready to go?
Ready.
All right. On this day last season, Albert Pujols set one of his many records, passing Barry Bonds and homering off his 450th different pitcher. Which Reds pitcher did he hit that home run off of?
450th different pitcher last year for the Cincinnati Reds. Oh, hell, I don't remember. I'll do the lifeline.
Buck Farmer, Ross Detweiler, or Jeff Hoffman?
That helps a lot. I don't even know if I know. I know that all three of those guys two of them have pitched for the Reds. I'm going to go with the guy just because he had one of the great all-time Twitter handles when he was with Washington. Ross Detweiler's Twitter handle was National Debt. So I am going to go with Ross Detweiler simply because of his and because he's from here. I'm going to go with National Debt.
Used to work out together.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
All right. Who is the only rookie quarterback to throw more than 30 touchdowns?
Only rookie quarterback to throw more than 30 touchdowns. It's interesting because we were actually talking during the break about because the question on ESPN this morning was the first quarterback to throw 30 touchdowns in each conference. And the 30 touchdown season used to not be a big deal. It's not a big deal now. It used to be a bigger deal than it is. I believe that Justin Herbert is the only rookie to throw 30 touchdown passes in his rookie year. I'm going to go with Justin Herbert of the L.A. Chargers.
Final answer?
Yeah, final answer.
All right.
I think he threw 31
Okay.
in his rookie year.
Happy birthday to Roy Oswalt. Which Cardinal had the most career hits against Oswalt in his career with 28?
I will. Okay, Oswalt was pretty much. He was done by the time that Albert moved to the other league. But did Oswalt move to the other league? Albert just seems so logical here because he played against him a lot. They were in the division for a while, in the same division. I am going to go with Albert Pujols.
All right. Only 3 players have ever started their career with 4 straight seasons of 25 home runs and 100 RBIs. Joe DiMaggio did it first. Albert Pujols completed the feat on this day in 2004. But which current American League slugger was the third?
So Albert finished on 2004, 3, 4, 5. And it's first 4 seasons of 25 and 100?
Yes, 4 straight seasons of 25 home runs and 100 RBIs.
Okay. Well, My first thought would be Mike Trout, but he didn't because he got sent down in his first year. So it wasn't him. My second thought, American League slugger, would be Miguel Cabrera, who won Rookie of the Year. I don't know if he did it for his first 4 years, but it would seem logical because after Albert Pujols, he's the second best right-handed hitter of our era. And as I just think about other sluggers in the American League currently right now, I don't think Judge has done that. Nobody else in the East, in the Central, they just really the only slugger there that you would even think of would be Cabrera. I don't think any of the Astros guys, I don't think Bregman, Altuve, when they had, I think Correa got hurt too early. I am going to go with Miguel Cabrera as my guy. Total guess.
All right,
Final
this
answer.
was an extremely close fight, but we do have a winner. No need for a tiebreaker. We're on a good stretch there. Was Dan able to come in here and beat Megamind? Just a 1-point win here? Or is Megamind able to last it and get 2 in a row to start a week? Love it when Megamind's able to start a week with a couple wins. Ring that bell.
The winner and still champion of the fight, Randy Karraker.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
I'm sorry, Dan. He just got you with a 3-2 win today.
Yeah, the Pujols holiday thing. I should have been a little smarter there.
Yeah,
but it happens.
Tricky question there. Let's go through the answers. On this day, last season, Pujols set one of his many records, passing Barry Bonds and homering off his 450th different pitcher. It was, in fact, Ross Detweiler, the pitcher that he homered off of, and both Randy and Dan got that right. Who was the only rookie quarterback to throw more than 30 TDs? It was, in fact, Justin Herbert with 31 in his rookie year. Happy birthday to Roy Oswalt. Which Cardinal has the most career hits against Oswalt in his career with 28? It is, in fact, Albert Pujols. The crazy thing is one of the options there is Carlos Beltran, who is actually the next highest multi-season Cardinal on the hit list against Roy Oswalt with 11 or 12. He has one more than Jim Edmonds had against Roy Oswalt in his career. And only 3 players have ever started their career with 4 straight seasons of 25 home runs and 100 RBIs. DiMaggio did it first. Pujols did it ending in 04. And Jose Abreu started his season in that upper echelon. So a 3-2 win for Randy Karraker over Dan today. Dan, thank you again for joining the fight and joining the show.
Have a good day, folks.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah,
Appreciate
man.
you joining us here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Next up, are the Cardinals' issues in being 20 games under 500 all on the players and manager, or does the front office and roster construction have a role in their lack of success? That's next on 101 ESPN. It's much more important to feel marvelous than to look marvelous. And if you want to feel marvelous, I want you to head to Mentality. They have great clinics in both Chesterfield and South County. And I'll tell you what, you go to Mentality and utilize their FDA-approved testosterone treatment, and you are going to feel marvelous. It'll make you feel like you did when you were in your 20s, when you had all that energy and you had all that gumption and you had all that motivation and drive. And maybe that's gone by the wayside, and you wake up and you're tired and you're fatigued and you just don't have that motivation that you had before. Maybe you're a little bit anxious. Well, at Mentality, they're going to do a complete panel on your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is. And then they're going to get it back to where it was when you were in your 20s. And their board-certified physicians and their nurses are going to do fantastic work. They'll take great care of you. And some of the things that they do are really incredible. As a matter of fact, when they do the blood work, they've actually found early prostate cancer in somebody that we know, and they were able to take care of it very quickly. A lot of good things happen when you use Mentality. Go to lowtusa.com. They'll have a lot of help from your insurance company, and you'll feel a lot better when you go to Mentality at lowtusa.com.
My confidence in Jack is probably at an all-time high. I think he's had a really good offseason. His preparation has been, very strategic. He is, I think, in a really good spot. And, I think he understands the importance of this year. And so, obviously we all saw a glimpse of what he's capable of doing in 19, and it was really good. And, I think the key is for him to be healthy. I think it's having his preparation and the ability to repeat that is obviously important. But, I'm really excited about what we're seeing with him.
That is Pobomo back in January at the Cardinals winter warm-up. My confidence in Jack Flaherty is probably at an all-time high. I love confidence, but where did that confidence come from? Because Flaherty had missed most of 2020 due to COVID, obviously, and the Cardinals babied him in 2020. He missed most of 2021 with an oblique injury, and then he missed most of 2022 with a shoulder injury. So what prompted that confidence, and did little elements like that allowed Mo to build this roster cause this downfall? Was roster construction as big an issue or a bigger issue than anything else that has caused the Cardinals to be 20 games under 500?
I'm going to say yes, because even Mozeliak admitted that himself when, in regards to, was that the All-Star break, when he was asked about Ollie Marmol and his job security, he stood by him, which is what you're supposed to do in that position. So, of course. But he also mentioned this is the roster that Ollie was handed. So to me, that's signaling that you are conceding to roster construction was not exactly ideal. Some strategic mistakes were made, because also during that winter warm-up, isn't that the same one where he said that they had 6 starting pitchers? Was that winter warm-up where he discussed that? So not only were they counting on Jack Flaherty, it seems like they were counting on others, even, say maybe a Dakota Hudson to possibly factor in to be some depth for the Cardinals at some point this season. And so that is a strategic mistake when it comes to roster construction. And with Jack Flaherty, I think that were they thinking that he was going to be their ace?
Sounded like it.
Their number 1 starter this season?
Yeah, and I think that they got lucky with the durability this year of Miles Michaelis. But Matz was hurt last year, and Waino got hurt down the stretch last year, although Waino was 7th in the National League in innings pitched. And he's been a durable performer. He just obviously has not been great this year and got hurt during the Winter Baseball Classic, the World Baseball Classic. Montgomery was what they expected he would be. I don't think anybody can question what they got out of Jordan Montgomery this year. So you look at Matz, Montgomery, Waino, Matz, Montgomery, Michaelis, Waino, and then who am I leaving out here? Flaherty, yeah. So that was your group. You had questions about all of them, and that's why we all said get a starter during the offseason. So roster construction was a big part of it in that regard. And then the other part of it is they, I would think, had a pretty good idea that Jordan Walker was going to be in their outfield, and then they didn't give him the opportunity to face adversity. They tell him at the end of spring training, you're making the team because you deal with adversity. He has a little bit of adversity, and they send him out. So that didn't work well. Roster construction. We have too many outfielders. We need to give outfielders more time to play. Roster construction problem. We expect Paul DeJong to play. Paul DeJong had been hurt for each of the last several years. Injures his back in spring training. He's not there on opening day. Roster construction. We think that Brendan Donovan is going to be a really good utility player for us. Well, with the injury to DeJong, Brendan Donovan winds up being regular at second base because Tommy Edman is playing short. All of a sudden, you decide, okay, well, we're going to play Lars Nootbaar in center field. We're going to play Tyler O'Neill in center field. We're going to play Dylan Carlson in center field. They never have settled on a center fielder. So roster construction and then playing time decisions, I think, have all hampered this club. And by the way, maybe the worst part of it is the bullpen. And I didn't even mention that, but not having an ability to send relievers out and bring up fresh arms, because inevitably every team uses way too many innings from their bullpen than are available. You have to be able to send guys out and call guys up. And at the beginning of the year, the Cardinals didn't have enough pitchers with options to be able to send guys out to bring other guys up. And they didn't have the depth. I mean, when you're calling up people like James Nail, he's kind of scuffling. Now, if you have Wilking Rodriguez, maybe different story, but you didn't. Okay, sorry.
I think we'd have a totally different story this season, honestly.
I think so. We were counting on him.
We were talking about this yesterday, and I feel like part of the reason why Mo felt as though this team could be better or that they would be better, and there was no need to really go make significant moves, is because they had essentially the same team that took them to the wild card last year, and they lost, obviously, but the team wasn't that much different, minus Yadier Molina, minus Yadier, right? Yeah. But then you went out and got Wilson Contreras, so you felt like that was an upgrade in terms of the bat. You didn't have Albert Pujols. Now, that is one of the greatest players to ever play the game, but you weren't expecting him to even do what he did last year.
But that was magnificent. That second half was incredible.
One of my favorite lines ever is, we're only a couple players away. Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig.
It was wonderful. But so you lose Albert, you lose Yadi, and who else from that roster did you lose? From the end of last season, and impact players that we're talking about. You said Corey Dickerson.
Including the playoffs?
Well, Juan Yepes is
Juan Yepes.
You knew where I was going.
He's one, but he's here. I mean, he was here.
He could be.
He could be, but other than that, you didn't really lose many pieces from that team that won 93 games. So as a general manager, as a POBO, as a head coach, as a manager, I'm looking at my roster thinking, guys, we have something to build on from last year. We expect Jack Flaherty, who you said was injured last year, to come back and have more success than he had last year. You lost Jose Quintana. He's not back. But for the most part, you looked at this roster and felt like we made upgrades in some areas. We got better in some areas. And so the thought process would be that we could be a better team. Now, I think the failure is, part of the failure, once you realize that it is a mistake and it's not working well, you own it. You own that and you say, hey, we haven't played well. But as a player, when you have essentially the same team, for the most part, coming back and you've added pieces that you think should be better or help the team be better, and you don't perform, then you, as a player, you have to say, we didn't perform well enough. I don't think Ali Marmol forgot how to manage from last year to this year. I don't think Mozeliak forgot how to get players to come in and add value to the team. The players didn't perform well all season. So for me, when I look at it, I put the onus on the players saying, hey, you guys have not performed in critical times when it's needed the most.
I do believe that a big part of Ali's success in his initial year as a manager was due to Skip Schumacher's presence as the bench coach. And I do think that Mike Maddox had the ability to run a pitching staff and help run a bullpen. And when you get that sort of institutional knowledge walking out the door, that's a brain drain. And it's really hard to make up for that level of experience with a first-year pitching coach or a bench coach who really hasn't done it to the extent that Skip had before.
Well, and don't forget that Matt Holliday was supposed to be your bench coach too this season, and you had that go away. I think that having Albert Pujols there, especially what he was able to do for the Cardinals in the second half of the season, but also his presence, that was like having another coach on your staff, essentially. We know how much you work with the players. I got to see firsthand. It was incredible. Just the way that Albert was able to scoop up players under his wing, even veteran players, and really knew how to build up all the guys in the room. It was like having another coach on your staff. Right. That was really huge. So that's another missing piece. I know that Yachty was in and out last season, but we've seen how big of an asset he is to the entire organization from a catching standpoint, where he was like another catching coach, where you didn't need somebody on the staff to address that. You had Yachty there, and he was teaching guys. So I think that losing those two, definitely we're seeing the impact and the ripple effect of that this season.
I mean, I agree that, Yachty, Maddox not being there, it definitely weighs heavily. And we talked about that last year. We talked about that earlier in the season, how Yachty was probably the A student, the A-plus student that did the assignment for everybody. He didn't need group participation. I'll do all of the work. You just show up and I'll tell you what we got, tell you what to do. And whereas Wilson Contreras is probably not that, we all have to work together to make sure that we're all on the same page. And it hasn't come to fruition this season. Now, can it get better for next year? They don't have the World Baseball Classic hanging over them, so they all should be in spring training, right? Preparing, ready to roll. They don't have to miss 2 to 3 weeks where the starting pitchers aren't there and aren't working together. So we won't have that excuse going into the 2024 season. So if it's still bad, then as you said earlier, Coach Venturi says, you're either coaching it or you're allowing it. Somebody has to figure something out.
Yeah, and hopefully by 2024, they will. That's Carey. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, our Rush Hour Reset here on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here. This summer I'm taking up a new hobby, one that I know will last a lifetime, and that is golfing. And I'm learning at the best spot in town. That is Family Golf and Learning Center. I've always wanted to learn how to golf, but was just really intimidated and didn't know where to start. But after my first couple of lessons with RJ and Melissa and the wonderful staff over at Family Golf and Learning Center, I was actually able to hit it straight and most importantly, just feel comfortable out there. That's what they do there at Family Golf and Learning Center. With several pros on staff, they have the ability to help anyone with their golf game. Like if you're just like me, starting out, or you want to improve your game. They provide a friendly and encouraging practice experience for the individual and for the family. All abilities and ages are welcome. Also, while you're out there, go check out their new back nine menu. I went out the other day to the driving range and I got their delicious buffalo chicken wrap with the corn fritters on the side and their adult Capri Sun. It was so good. So for more information about Family Golf and Learning Center, go to familygolfonline.com. Learn, practice, play your best golf.
It's time to recap the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Brought to you by Clubhouse Turf, your exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens. We're redefining private golf.
Cardinals lose 4-1 to the Padres last night at the ballpark. Second game of the series is going to be this evening at Busch Stadium, and the Cardinals will have their left-hander, Zach Thompson, going against Seth Lugo, who's 5-6 with the 3.70 for the Padres this year. Cardinals lose last night in the opener of this four-game series. Kind of disappointing. The Cardinals had their opportunities. As a matter of fact, game was only 2-1 heading into the ninth, but the Cardinals couldn't convert on a one-out, bases-loaded situation and wound up losing the game by a score of 2-1. They actually never were ahead in the game, never even tied, after Matt Carpenter broke a scoreless tie in the sixth inning.
Broken bat, fly ball to right. That's going to get down for the first hit of the game. First run of the game. On his way to third. In the throw. Caught and tagged. What a play. Walker throws out Bogarts, but Tatis scores. Carpenter with his second hit gives San Diego a 1-0 lead.
And it's not like Marp is tearing the world up. He's hitting only 177. His OPS is just over 600, but had that big hit last night. That made it 1-0. The Padres scoring another in the seventh. The Cardinals scored one in the bottom of the eighth, and then San Diego with two in the ninth to win it by a score of 4-1. Adam Wainwright with a nice outing, though. 6 innings. He allowed 1 run on 8 hits, struck out 1, and walked 3. So he gave the Cardinals a quality start, but not enough for our Redbirds, who fall 20 games under 500. Low water mark since 1995.
1995. And you discussed earlier in the show in that first segment what all was going on in 1995. And so when you hear what was happening during that season, it's like, oh, well, it kind of makes sense that things were scuffling a little bit. There was a lot going on behind the scenes. With this, it's just perplexing how we have gotten to this point. And I know that after the trade deadline, you moved Jordan Montgomery, Jack Flaherty. I still can't come to terms with that because Brendan Donovan and Lars Nootbaar are hurt, that this is the reason that we're seeing this sort of offense. I mean, they've been outscored 26-4 in their last 4 games. I told you guys about the stat that John Rooney had about the Cardinals not being able to score via their only run to not score via home run was Mason Wynn's RBI last week, about a week back.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, it's just, I might as well lean into it at this point. Lean into it because you find something to laugh about this season, right? It's just it's really perplexing how we have gotten to this point. You bring up bases loaded. I don't know how you figure that out. Is it just winning is going to be the cure-all for this team? eventually when they win going into next season?
Yeah, winning does solve everything, but you better find ways to win. By the way, 1995 is interesting how the two bad seasons paralleled, because 1995 was the first year the Rams were here in St. Louis, and we were distracted by their training camp. And this year, the first year, we have St. Louis City SC, and we're distracted by the greatness of St. Louis City SC in their first year. So we have something to kind of help us look away from the dismay that the Cardinals deliver on a regular basis. Look away. Don't look.
Don't look. Don't peek behind the curtain.
No.
Nothing's over here. Nothing's going on over here.
Nothing.
It's
nothing to worry about.
It's pretty rugged. And by the way, if the Cardinals do finish with their current winning percentage, and what do we have it at? 424, I think? Something like that. It was really bad.
It's 424 right
424. This would be their lowest season winning percentage since 1924. Since the early 1900s.
That's not great.
No.
It's not good.
It's not good. It's really bad.
So
another Great Depression.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So, and you know what? It's amazing because you look right now, and we've done the schedule thing already, but I will do it for those that have not heard. This is alarming. Cardinals play the Pirates in the first 3 games of September. After that, 3 at Atlanta, 3 at Cincinnati. They'll still be battling for a playoff spot. 3 at Baltimore, best team in the American League. 3 against Philadelphia here, top National League wildcard team. 4 against the Brewers here, National League Central leaders who've won 9 in a row now. They go to San Diego, and then they've got 3 at Milwaukee and 3 against the Reds here. It does not look like a promising September, the way the Cardinals are going and the way those teams that I just listed are going.
No.
Winning a series out of those, sweeping, I don't know that happens, but winning a series out of those, what is that, 9 series left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. Winning 2 out of 3.
Maybe you win the Pirates series this coming weekend here.
Did we just play the Pirates?
Yeah.
How'd that go?
Not great, but at least it was in
Great.
Pittsburgh. And we're great
But you
at home.
gave that record of their home and away schedule. They're keeping things pretty even
consistent,
there.
Yeah, the Cardinals now 28-38 at home, 28-38 on the road. And if you weren't listening earlier, a little, so what you want in baseball is consistency, like you want Stan Musial. 1,865 hits at home, 1,865 hits on the road. Cardinals, 28-38 on the road, 28-38 at home. This Cardinal team is just like Stan the Man.
Oh, no. That's... No.
I don't think that's...
Okay.
No. Randy, they've won 2 games out of their last 12.
That's not getting gooder, CD.
That's not.
I thought we were getting gooder. Isn't that the motto this season?
2 out of their last 12. 2-10.
It's not. It's not ideal.
That's a game a week.
It is, yeah. Stan the Man, by the way, born November 21st of 1920. Okay? He was 4. Stan the Man was 4 when the Cardinals last had a season as bad as this one.
Wow.
Stan Musial started his career in 1941. He ended his career in 1963. He never witnessed something like this.
I got to be honest.
Stan the Man died in 2013, and he never, a decade ago, and he never witnessed something like this.
I got to be honest. There is a level of stress associated with losing like this. It is a
for the players, the fans.
For the players and the coaches, the manager. It's the level of stress. Like losing impacts your quality of life.
Definitely.
It really can impact how you go about your day-to-day business, and you start to let doubt creep in when you are playing this poorly. And the doubt that they have right now is probably so strong that they feel like nothing is going to break their way. That's why you get bases loaded with less than 2 outs and nobody scores. That's why you get 2 runners on in the top of the 9th and 2 of your best players come up and they don't get a hit and no one scores. That's the doubt is right there present in front of them. it's taking a hold of this team and it's not allowing them to have success. And they are scuffling both on the field and mentally because it's the only way to get out of it is to find a way to win a game. And when you have doubt, the way that I believe that they do right now, the way that they are, I'm sure there's a lot of frustration and depression and just anger going on in that clubhouse, not amongst each other, but just with themselves as a whole.
Get you a phone guy. So then follow-up question to that, having, obviously played with so many different teams, have you been in that situation before, and what was the fix of getting out of that? Was it just eventually...
You see what shirt I got on? Yeah, can y'all see that?
Illini football.
Yeah,
there we go.
University. The Fighting Illini.
The Fighting, we ain't have, in 2003, we didn't have much fight. Mm-hmm. We were just the Illini. We went 1-10.
Drop the fight out of that one.
The Illinois Illini. we didn't have much fight in us, and so that season, our win that season was the second game of the year. So we lost 9 in a row, and when I tell you that's hard living, there's no recipe.
No pizza parties?
No. It was so bad. We lost to, I want to say Iowa, which had to make us like 1-7, 1-8. And Coach Turner, we normally practiced on, so Saturday you play, Sunday you would come in, watch film or whatever. Monday would be off. Tuesday you get back to work. He just said, I'll see y'all Tuesday. Like, don't worry about it. Like, don't even come in.
Wow.
I'll see you Tuesday. It was like a victory Monday in the NFL, but it was a losing Monday losing. So don't even bother. Like, just we're not going to watch this film. We're not going to lift or work out. You guys need a break, and so do I. And so that was a bad season, man. It's tough.
And so was there anything that changed?
No.
It just took some winning?
It just took the next season to hit.
Some time off.
Time
and then
off. See you next year. I was gone.
Yeah.
I graduated. So good luck to you guys.
My goodness. That's the Rush Hour Reset. Mike Claiborne next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report with Cardinals TV broadcaster Brad Thompson.
The Cardinals dropped their 4th straight, a 4-1 loss to the Padres. Adam Wainwright had one of his best outings of the year, going 6 innings and only giving up 1 earned run. Unfortunately, Blake Snell was even better, going 7 scoreless and punching out 9. Paul Goldschmidt got the Cardinals on the board with a solo shot in the 8th, snapping a 22-inning scoreless streak for the offense. But it wasn't enough as Josh Hader slammed the door. Zach Thompson will be on the mound tonight, 6:45 first pitch. I'm Brad Thompson, and this is your Redbird Report.
Presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Now hiring. Visit DraftKings at CasinoQueen.com careers page.
DraftKings at
I'll tell you what, today is another great day to head on over to the Fenton Bar and Grill and enjoy a heavenly lunch. Try their turkey club with smoked turkey, bacon, lettuce, tomato on Texas toast, or they've got another spectacular turkey sandwich that you'll love. It's their magnificent smoked turkey cheddar melt with smoked turkey, bacon, cheddar cheese served hot with lettuce and tomato on a grilled Texas toast. It is fantastic. You will love the Fenton Bar and Grill, not only because of their wonderful food that includes their trash wings, greatest wings that you'll ever have. Try them with the signature golden sauce, the award-winning signature golden sauce at Fenton Bar and Grill. You're also going to have great people. You're going to have great servers. Kelly is going to be out there today. You can say hi to Megan and say hi to Jamie and the crew. They're very, very nice. They're very friendly. And you'll love the people at the Fenton Bar and Grill, too. Chuck, the manager, is great. Everybody there loves sports. They're going to have sports up on the TVs. All you need to do is head to the soccer park, follow the road, Rudder Road to Fenton Bar and Grill. Head out on their parking lot, head to the patio, enjoy a great lunch, great business lunch today, and tell them Randy sent you when you go to the Fenton Bar and Grill. Brooke Grimsley, Carey Davis, Randy Karraker. We go to the celebrity line. Mike Claiborne, Claibs Online, joins us. The Mizzou football season set to get underway on Thursday night, and I know that they always have a great feature on Claibs Online with the Mizzou analyst Howard Richards. Claibs, good morning. How you doing?
I'm doing well. 30 to go. Or 29, one of the two.
I made it a point to start us off with college football.
Okay, I'll go with college football for this week. So here's a question for everybody. With the way the portal is worked and the way the NIL is worked, how can anybody rank a team at the beginning of the year?
Crazy, isn't it?
With the changeover in rosters. How can you rank somebody?
You cannot. You cannot rank somebody. And the only thing that you know for sure is that Texas and Alabama are going to be great. But we don't know anybody. And with the way that you have to build chemistry in such a quick period of time now, it is it is a crapshoot when you're trying to pick out who's going to be the best team in college football.
Yeah, so when I hear people say, number 3 ranked, who knows, State's going to take on who? Guess who? I mean, who? How do you know? I mean, so I was just kind of scratching my head about that the other day on how can I actually listen to somebody start off talking to me about a ranked team? It makes no sense whatsoever because everyone's faces change. Now, the rich got richer. There's no doubt about that. But I think that there are some other teams that, that we may expect to be good that may not be good because maybe they didn't do as good in the portal as other teams did.
I think it's a safe bet to think that Georgia is going to be good. 2-time national champs.
You know what, Jay? I think Georgia's going to be playing on a holiday.
Yeah, I think they are pretty good.
Alabama's going to be playing. And the traditional teams, they're not going to hurt, okay? Right. They're not going to hurt. But those teams that are, like, right on the cusp, for instance, like a team like Cincinnati who had a couple of good years recently, what do they look like? What do the ACC teams look like? And basically, what's the Big 12 look like? So, you have all that going on, and, everybody's got some sort of ranking. He's our Chuckaburger top 100 player or whatever. Well, who's ranking them? How do you know who these guys are? What's your basis on how you rank players? And those are all the things that we need to start peeling off page 2 and page 3 to get to, because there's a whole lot of people who really know very little about what's going on, but they call themselves experts.
It is very interesting. I bet for Georgia and Alabama that the transfer portal is almost like fantasy football for the rest of us, where you're just getting to pick the best of the best. I'm sure that's how it feels. Well, Claibs, I do want to ask you a little bit about some baseball, but specifically we got to see Aaron Nola and Blake Snell, and I wanted to gather your thoughts on both of those pitchers. What do you think the likelihood of the Cardinals landing one of those guys or both of them?
Well, I don't know if you can land both of them, and I don't know if it's in the Cardinals' hands. Every team has money, and I know people say, well, let's go out and get them because we're the Cardinals and we've got money to spend. That may be true, but I think that if you're a pitcher and you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to look at different teams, what are the factors for me? Can they swing the bat? Are they good defensively? Who's their catcher? All those things go into play. And if you look at the Cardinals, they swing the bat okay. They're going through a little bit of a slump now. What do you look like defensively? Well, you have Gold Glovers at the corners. You got some fledgling guys in the outfield. What about your catcher? Well, your catcher struggled early. Is he good enough to create enough confidence that a pitcher can say, you know what, I can throw to this guy? Or is it Andrew Kisner? Or is it Herrera? I mean, I thought Herrera and Kisner made significant improvements. So there's a lot of intangibles that will go into a free agent if you're going to sign him more than just money. Because everybody has money. I think we've seen teams that have said, we're going to spend money. But I think the other thing is this. Will you see teams say, hey, you know what, instead of that 5-8-year deal, we'll give you 3 and an option, and we'll front load it. So we'll make it worth your while. I think that dreaded term opt-out will pop up in some situations. And if I'm a team, I say, hey, you know what? We like an opt-out too.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
I think teams have to be more creative in how you structure contracts. Maybe you start rewarding guys with more bonuses on innings pitched compared to wins and losses. Because wins, you go 5 innings, go half the game, and now all of a sudden you're credited with a win because your bullpen's okay. So, I think I might reward guys more on innings pitched. And now, again, I have to make it juicy. I have to make it feel like this is something, I think I can do that. So basically, you're betting on yourself as a performer compared to just taking the money and running and saying, well, this is what everybody else is doing. Well, you know what? If I can make a few extra million because I can give you 200-plus innings, I think I'd rather take that guy over a guy who can win 15 ball games.
Yeah.
Because the winning aspect of winning ball games is no longer solely in the hands of the starting pitcher. If you don't have a bullpen, and I think I can speak on behalf of one team, if you don't have one, then guess what? You're not going to be successful. And if you're a team now, you say to yourself, let's build our organization from the back end. Let's go out and find a half a dozen, 8 legitimate arms coming out of the bullpen, and I'm going to have 4 other guys in the minors ready to come up at any beckoning call. And I'm going to tell my starters, hey, listen, we have plenty of guys. If you get to the 7th inning, we'll take it from there. But I want to make sure that I create an incentive from 5 through 7, innings 5 through 7, to make sure this guy is going to be there. Now, I know that the philosophy is, well, we don't want him to see the pitcher after the second time around the batting order. Well, guess what? I don't want that guy. If he hasn't figured out how to make sure he can get guys out to third round, then you know what? That tells me he didn't have a good game plan because he showed them pitches so early that the third time around, they know what you have. Mm-hmm. Listen, he can't throw a slider today. Let's sit on the fastball. Right. Hey, his changeup is something we can pick up coming out of his hand. Let's sit on this pitch. The good pitchers will show you just enough where after the second round, you're saying, all right, let me think about what he's got and what he doesn't have. And then all of a sudden he drops something else on you.
Claves, we were talking earlier about this season has been a tough season to watch, tough games to watch. We were talking about earlier who's more at fault. I mean, is it – for me, we look at the roster from last year, it's essentially the same guys, minus Quintana, minus Yadier Molina, and Albert Pujols. This year, you got some of the guys coming back, and then you got added some guys. Is the fault more on the front office, or is it on the players that are actually playing the game?
Well, I wouldn't use the word fault. I think, you may have miscalculated, and you had enough reasons on why you thought your plan worked, okay? It just didn't. And if you don't think the Cardinals feel that way, look at the San Diego Padres, who spent $100 million more than the Cardinals. They thought they had enough, and it just didn't work. And, I think for us in St. Louis, because we haven't seen this very often, we want to pin it on someone. But I think when you look at their track record as far as having success of winning the division and getting out of it, that tells you that they have a legitimate formula that has worked in the past. Now, does that formula continue to work? Well, there could be a real healthy debate on that. I don't think anybody would just say, oh, well, it's just, the Cardinal way is always going to work. No, it doesn't. Because other teams adjust according to what talent pool is out there. The talent pool, as we know it, has changed dramatically over the last 5 years with regard to how the game is taught on the lower level. And that goes back from Little League to travel ball to Class A minors. The analytics that's come into play. There's a lot of things that have changed. And if you're not one step ahead of the posse, when you get caught, you have to get at the end of the line. And I think that's what we're seeing now.
Claves, what do you got going on at clavesonline.com?
Well, we have lunch with Claves and Joe today. We normally do it on Monday, but we moved it back to today. Talk about a lot of things. Obviously, the Cardinals, the football season is here. I got a kick out of the race, the Bomberito 500, which I think technically is the most fascinating thing in sports when you watch what these guys do. And I sat in a pit crew, and you know who those guys are in the pit crew? They're ex-football players. I mean, there was one team that had 4 guys that played in the Big Ten. So, I mean, I'm fascinated by that. So we'll get into that a little bit. You mentioned football. I ran into my good friend Craig Berube the other night, and we started talking hockey, so we might get into that a little bit as well. So there's plenty of stuff to go on, including the Ascension Charity Golf Classic that starts next week, and I can't wait for that. If the weather's as good as it is today, for next week, man, we're going to have a great tournament because there are going to be so many good players that we all recognize their names. So I'm looking forward to that. So we have plenty of stuff to talk about. Dr. Rick and his podcast with Rammer is coming up later this week. Huddle Up with Howard.
There we go.
On Friday. Here we go. So we have enough on the plate to get it going. And, of course, we have our good Nightingale with Bob Nightingale talking some baseball, as these wild card races seem like they're starting to heat up a little bit. So plenty to talk about.
Always good to hear your voice, sir. Thank you very much, and we'll talk soon.
All right, guys, have a great week, and we'll talk soon.
You bet. Mike Claiborne with us on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Coming up, Jesse Rogers told us why the Cubs are better than the Cardinals right now. We also want to hear from you. Text 314-399-9646, 314-399-YO! Or give us a mic drop on the 101 ESPN app. How are you feeling about the Cubs being so much better than the Cardinals right now? It looks like the Cards are the Cubs and the Cubs are the Cards. It's next on 101 ESPN. Like Claiborne mentioned, getting out and playing golf. You know how you can enjoy golf more? It's by getting better. And you know how you can get better? By getting a Celebrity Green from Clubhouse Turf here in St. Louis. Clubhouse Turf is St. Louis's exclusive partner of Celebrity Greens. And the best way to lower your scores is to improve your short game. And that's why tour players like John Rahm and DeMax Homa have installed Celebrity Greens in their backyards. Anyone can put down fake turf and call it a putting green. But if you want a golf green that putts true and gives you real grass performance when practicing putts or chips or pitches or bunker shots, the only company to get in touch with is Clubhouse Turf right here in St. Louis. Their number is 314-834-2343, 314-834-2343. Or you can find them on the web at clubhouseturf.com. And not only do they do a great job with putting greens, but they also will provide a complete line of synthetic turf installations that include sport turf, playgrounds, pet turf, and lawn turf. Check them out on the web at clubhouseturf.com or just give them a call, 314-834-2343. If you want to have a great-looking lawn and improve your golf game, get in touch with clubhouseturf.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday fall to the Padres 4-1 behind a solid start from Adam Wainwright, who still falls short of win number 199 thanks to an offense that only generates 4 hits across just 2 players. That's Paul Goldschmidt and Jordan Walker, each getting a pair of hits apiece. Cardinals back in action tonight, facing off against the Padres in Game 2. Zach Thompson will toe the slab for the Cardinals. Also coming up later this week, St. Louis City SC is back in action with a midweek match. They face off against FC Dallas FC, at City Park on Wednesday evening with a 7:30 first kick. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff. Find new roads and shop 24/7 at londoff.com and londoffautoplex.com. Are you kidding me?
Normally, I'd say, starting pitching. It actually hasn't necessarily been that. Usually, that's what anchors you, and certainly Justin Steele, who goes for win number 15, has turned into an ace. So he's been great. But behind him, it's been a little bit shaky. There's been some good, some bad. So it's been a combination of things, as you'd imagine. If it's not starting pitching, it has been a really good offense, mostly because Cody Bellinger anchors it right in the middle, and it's deeper now that Jeimer Candelario has joined them, and now their bullpen has turned to a strength.
That's our friend Jesse Rogers of ESPN. Why the Cubs have improved. They've won 18 games over 500 since the 8th of June. The Cardinals have fallen to 20 games under 500 during the season, and that's their lowest mark, 20 games under, since 1995, which, if you aren't aware of it, was a long time ago. We get a text from 314. I really don't care for that much about the Cubs being better than the Cardinals. However, I will say this. I'm happy for Cubs fans and sad for our ball team and our fans, but it tells me one thing. Maybe they're just a little bit more up to speed in Chicago and how to evaluate talent. Definitely think our boys are under scrutiny and underachieving this year. It's hard to wrap my head around how you can win 93 games one season and finish 20-plus games under 500 the next. Something's not right. I just wonder if this team is underachieving.
If this Cardinals team is underachieving,
Yeah.
I think this is something worse than underachieving. If there's a word for that, I mean, maybe somebody can text in and come up with something, because I feel like you're trying to find the word to describe what we've seen with the Cardinals this
as a
season.
unit, and maybe we should differentiate this from August 1st. Is this team doing any less than you would expect it to do with what they have on hand?
No, not exactly. And I do understand that there was injuries with Brendan Donovan and Lars Newbar. I did expect just probably a tad better than this, especially from the offense. That's the part that I'm having a hard time understanding, because you still have Nolan Arenado, you still have Paul Goldschmidt, you still have all these other guys. We've gone down the list of names that we're seeing in the lineup. To me, that's been the most shocking. And I know that they're facing some great pitchers, as we mentioned, with Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and Blake Snell. But that's been the most surprising part to me. I mean, 26-4 in their last 4 games. They've been outscored. That's concerning.
That is concerning. And I think if you say since August 1st, do you think that this is underperforming or underachieving? I think I agree with Brooke. When you look at the lineup, yes, because they didn't really move anyone from that. Paul DeYoung, but you know that's not someone that you thought was. I mean, I know you called him Honus Wagner, but was he really? You know, for a time.
Probably not Honus Wagner right now.
No, not right now. I think that the lineup has underachieved for whatever reason. I don't know what the rhyme or reason is for that. You lost 2. I mean, you've won 2 of your last 12 games. Obviously, the last 3 were against some really good pitching, but what about those other ones? What about those other 9 games that you didn't perform particularly well in, winning 2 of them? I don't know how you figure this part out, because if the lineup doesn't hit and the pitchers aren't as stellar as you need, and last night I thought Wainwright did a spectacular job.
He did
a spectacular job, and so to not get the help with that, where do you turn? Who do you look to?
Yeah.
And that's one of the things about when you look at the group as a team, when I wonder whether or not they're achieving or underachieving. What Cardinal relievers, when they come into the game, do you say to yourself, oh, this is good, this guy's going to shut it down?
Yeah.
That is a great point. It is.
There isn't one.
No.
There's not one reliever where I don't expect him to give up runs.
You had one. I thought Genesis Cabrera was that for a little bit. He did a really good job.
Yeah.
He's not here, though.
No, let's get but he's pitching well. Let's get a mic drop from Corey here on 101 ESPN.
Because the Cubs spend money in the offseason and the Cardinals don't. This year in the offseason, we just signed Contreras and basically said, that's it. That's our offseason.
But I think what the Cubs did, well, they did go out and sign Dansby Swanson in addition to giving Bellinger his money. But when I look at the Cubs, I'm seeing Nico Horner. I am seeing the $18.5 million that Bellinger got. I'm seeing Justin Steele, a young performer. I'm seeing Alzolay, their closer who came from their system. I don't think necessarily that it's money that is leading the Cubs to so much more success than the Cardinals. And if you go back to the opening day payroll, Cardinals and Cubs were pretty close. I don't know where they are now. I'll try to find it. But it doesn't seem to me that the Cubs have really, aside from the Swanson contract, who else have they given a ton of money to? Marcus Stroman, I guess, but he's not even pitching right now.
Yeah. And then you mentioned the Cody Bellinger thing, too. And I don't know. I mean, that's where it's very confusing with what you're seeing. And I think maybe keeping Cody Bellinger around and he's hit his stride hitting-wise, maybe that's something that has helped the Cubs with their second half of the season. You know, Jesse mentioned offense as being a big part of it. And I know that winning, we've discussed this today, winning is typically the cure-all for things. But seeing this group right now, and somebody from the 636 texted this in, the players are complacent. We were before the trade deadline and definitely are now, minus a few players. This team has a losing mentality, and 3 starting pitchers is not going to fix it. That's my question is if you do get the pitchers, is this enough to really turn around this group?
They're very sharp.
Is winning the cure-all, essentially.
The issue, I mean, losing, I'm telling you, when you are a losing team, you find ways to lose games. It just happens. It's not, there's no way to even explain it. You start losing, you continue to lose, and you find ways to lose games. Same thing goes for winning. When you are winning, you find ways to win games. And so I don't know that they have a loser mentality. They're just a losing team right now.
Yep. By the way, opening day of the season, the Cubs had the 12th highest payroll at $184 million, and the Cardinals had the 15th highest payroll at $175. So a $9 million difference is kind of negligible in baseball in 2023. Let's get one more mic drop. This is Brooks on 101 ESPN.
Well, I'm not feeling too good about the Cubs being better than the Cardinals right now, and I'll tell you why. Back in May, when the Cubs had a better record than the Cardinals, I made a bet with a friend of mine who happens to be a Cubs fan. And I told him the Cardinals would finish the season with a better record than the Cubs, and if not, I owed him a fancy steak dinner. So yeah, I'm not feeling too good about it right now, and I'm not sure who to send the bill for that dinner to. Is it Mo? Is it DeWitt? Is it the players? Is it Ollie? Don't even know at this point. But yeah, I think overall the Cubs have just done a better job of addressing their needs than the Cardinals.
Yeah, send it to DeWitt.
Let me know how that works out for you.
Yeah, and Brooks, I'm sorry about that bet because I would have made the same bet in May if I were you. But
I think many people
when would you
have
have not made the bet? At what point would you have said, yeah, no way? Was it
Start
London?
blocking his phone.
Yeah, London probably.
London
Yeah.
London
Good call.
was
Good
it
call.
for you?
Yeah, that was Waterloo. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a bummer that the Cubs were expected to finish well behind the Cardinals. People thought, oh yeah, the Cubs will have a nice season if they finish 500, but the Cardinals are going to win the division. Everybody said that before the season started, but hadn't turned out that way. So congratulations to the Cubs and their fans. And yeah, it's kind of a bummer for us. Coming up, we've got rock and roll as we head down the stretch on this edition of the Opening Drive on 101 ESPN. If you haven't downloaded the Schnucks Rewards app, I want you to do it, and I want you to have it fired up for when you go shopping for your Labor Day barbecue feast this weekend. Whether you go to the store on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe you're preparing for a Monday barbecue, have the Schnucks Rewards app ready. And you know what's really cool is you can put your list in there. So you can say, okay, I need to get peppers, I need to get zucchini, I need to get lettuce, I need to get tomatoes, I need to head on over to the meat department, and I need to get burgers and brats and maybe some beautiful steaks from the butcher shop. And then you need all the other ancillary things. I need to pick up some buns, I need to pick up some Duke's mayo, I need to pick up some ketchup, I need to pick up some of that delicious Cardinal Crunch cherry ice cream. And if you get all of those into your list, the app will tell you where to go at Schnucks to pick it up. So your shopping experience will be efficient, and you will have everything you need for your delicious Labor Day barbecue. Download the Schnucks Rewards app, get 2% back on every purchase you make, and have a fantastic holiday weekend. But start it at Schnucks.
I want to rock. Need an end roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do here in the opening drive. We're going to unofficially join the Fast Lane Pick'em Challenge that you can join at 101ESPN.com. And we do it anyway. I mean, we participate. But this year, as a team, we're going to, because we can and we do, we're going to beat the Fast Lane and the Riz Show. You make your football picks each week and see if you can defeat the Fast Lane and the dudes from the Riz Show. Fast Lane and the Riz Show throwing down all football season long in the Pick'em Challenge. Get signed up to play now at 101ESPN.com, courtesy of Bud Light. And so Matthew and Brooke and Carey and Randy, we're all going to pick them every week, and we're going to beat those guys and embarrass them.
We're going to beat those dudes.
Yeah,
right?
from the Riz Show.
Yeah.
We are.
Those dudes.
So, yeah, so that's going to be fun. It's going to be, they have no idea what's going to hit them. The problem is they think they're good. I think
the home run derby is still a sensitive
I was
subject.
so frustrated that I could not participate.
Yeah.
It was an unfortunate turn of events.
Yeah, I think the Riz Show, they were just trying to, They made excuses, I will say.
Yeah.
They're trying to save face.
Yeah, try it. So, and there's other cool stuff happening. You think that's just all that's happening at 101 ESPN?
What else you got?
No. I've got more.
What else you got?
You can join 101 ESPN and Bud Light for the Blues and Brews on Friday evening, September 22nd at the Anheuser-Busch Brewery. Get fired up for the blues season at this outdoor street party featuring live music from country music star Chris Lane and local blues musician Marquise Knox, plus appearances by blues players and alumni, food trucks, blues merchandise, 101 ESPN giveaways, and more. Tickets on sale now. Visit 101ESPN.com for additional event details and to purchase your tickets for Blues and Brews on September 22nd. All right, Matthew, what do you got?
Well, you guys were talking earlier about this potentially being the worst Cardinals season since 1924.
Mm-hmm.
I then had to hit up the Google machine, and I wanted to find out some things about 1924 because I was
What
like,
was going
wow.
on that year?
So the last time the Cardinals were potentially this bad, we're going to hit you with some local facts first of all, by the way. Powell Symphony Hall, the Fox Theater, and this STL Arena had not yet been built. The Chase Park Plaza, or the Chase, had just been built a year prior to that. Also, the population in the city of St. Louis was 800,000 people.
Man.
Wow. It's now 400,000, and those are all historical buildings. And here's some fun little things. The dollar at the time, you could buy 95% more with a dollar than you could right now. The dollar has a 5% value of what it had back in 1924. And here's some other stuff.
So 60-cent drinks are not a big deal.
Not a big deal back then. In fact, you're getting kind of gypped off there. The 1924 was the first year that a fax was ever sent across the ocean.
1924?
Wow. It was also the year that Mercedes-Benz was founded, that MGM was founded. Here's the thing. It's the year that the Ottoman Empire ended. So, the Ottoman Empire was still a thing the last time the Cardinals were this bad of a baseball team.
I like having an Ottoman. It helps with my hamstrings.
Exactly. When I wrote that down, I was like, the chances that Randy makes like a furniture joke is 100%. 100%.
The likelihood is high.
And just before the MLB season had started, the NHL announced their first ever expansion to the United States of America with the Boston Bruins.
Oh, by the way, Prohibition lasted from 1920 to 1933. So 1924, last time the Cardinals were bad, you couldn't even drink away your sorrow.
You had to go into secrecy.
Legally, yeah.
Had to
had to step to a speakeasy.
A speakeasy.
Yeah. Right.
Have a certain knot.
Yeah. So, thanks, Cardinals.
The world has changed a little bit since the Cardinals were this bad. And he's like, you couldn't even have a drink back then. But you could go to the pharmacy and get cocaine over the counter. So, 60 or half of those
up a little bit.
I'm just pointing out things how it was different. Also, yesterday, Twitter, X was all a Twitter, I should say, because there was a new show that debuted between Skip Bayless, Richard Sherman, Keyshawn Johnson, and Michael Irvin. I specifically pulled a clip because Terrell Owens retweeted this, and I was like, well, this convergence of personalities has to be something, because at one point Michael Irvin was explaining the advice that he gave to CeeDee Lamb about catching the ball over the middle. Here's what Michael Irvin said. Richard Sherman, not a big fan of it.
I told him, I said, listen, man, with all these people around you, learn to catch this ball in your body. Right. So in your hands, you tighten up, ball goes through you. Or you tighten up, ball hits the ground.
That's the worst advice I've ever heard for a receiver. Don't catch it with your hands, catch it with your body.
How you don't tell me that's the worst advice? I'm only one of the best to ever do it at playing that game.
What I'm saying is,
I don't know how you can tell me the worst advice.
With your body and not your hands.
It led to championships on every level. What I'm talking about doing, I won championships on every level doing. I don't know how you're going to say that's bad advice. How is that bad advice?
So, Michael Irvin is correct. In traffic, if you stick your hands out, you're probably going to drop it. When you want to catch the ball, he's explaining. Richard Sherman wasn't probably understanding it.
Richard Sherman is a cornerback because he couldn't play wide receiver.
There you go. Probably because he couldn't catch the ball in traffic.
Yeah, or exactly.
So, therefore, Michael Irvin has done it at the highest level, is a Hall of Famer doing it, and he is correct.
Yeah.
And he asked him, how are you going to tell me? You know who I am.
Sounds like a great show. Hey, you know what? As long as I'm not hearing Skip Bayless, I'm good.
It means Skip might become the moderator. He might just lead into the topics and let them three go. Right?
Yeah.
That was intriguing.
My favorite part is that,
so interesting.
And Terrell Owens' response to that was, every receiver coach and head coach is cringing right now listening to this notion for receivers to catch it with your body. In some cases, yes, but this is bad advice. This is terrible advice. And I have more TDs than Key and Mike combined.
Ooh.
That was Terrell Owens on X/Twitter yesterday.
Wow.
Oh, my God. So is he going to be on the show next?
Hashtag Team Sherman on this one.
I think that when you are about to be hit, You're trying to catch it with your hand. If you can get your body, and I don't think he means like chest because it could bounce off your chest, but a situation where you can cradle it and make sure you're protecting yourself from getting knocked out as well. But it's also different. In 2023, you can go up and catch it with your hands and nobody's going to even hit you.
I'll tell you this. It's I don't know what Terrell Owens was trying to do when he was trying to go against Aeneas Williams, but it didn't look like his arms were very long. You talk about shutdown city. Aeneas Williams, whenever he played against Terrell Owens had a bad game.
Also, I'm pretty sure like the catching traffic that Terrell Owens is most famous for, he catches it like
he caught
against
it with
his shoulder with his body. The one over the middle when he's a 49er, he gets absolutely crumpled.
Yes.
I mean, he catches that against his shoulder, and it's the only reason he holds on to it.
It's the only way you can catch it when someone is bearing down on you.
Go watch your own highlight reel. I know you've done that before, Terrell. Just do it one more time and see that catch.
It's a little different when you're T.O. or Randy Moss, though, and everything is just out in front of you, and you just run a post.
Life's easy.
Yeah, it really is.
Easy.
It is. Well, we've got a balloon party coming up with T-Mac and Ajax here on 101 ESPN. What were those guys thinking when they were drafting last night? Maybe they'll tell us.
I didn't see it. I wasn't paying attention to their draft.
They were also.
It's like having the football Cardinals in your league.
They were a little slow on the 2 QB roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2 QB thing was interesting. Also, I didn't realize I was in the room with my enemy today.
Yeah, she didn't realize I was the one who drafted Derrick Henry.
Because I didn't see who was the person that drafted Derrick Henry. Because you were talking about earlier how close we were, or how close I was to getting Derrick Henry.
I put on the message. I said, "Here goes Derrick Henry."
And he was queued up, and then all of a sudden, somebody over here took him. You will never appreciate him like I will.
Henry and Eckler are just going to take my running backs right to the championship, baby.
Let's see how that works.
Good luck with that. It's a different league now. We got 2 quarterbacks, Matthew. Who are your 2 quarterbacks?
I don't want to talk about my second quarterback.
Yeah, who's your quarterback?
I got Ryan
my quarterbacks are Sam Howell, and you took my quarterback.
Howell?
I was about to take Tua, and then you took him right before I did.
I was waiting on Tua as well.
And then who's my starter? Oh, Kirk Cousins. God dang.
When do I get to play you?
I don't know. Lucky you.
So anyway, T-Mac and Ajax are coming up, followed by BK and Ferrario from 11 to 2, and then from 2 to 6, you've got the Fast Lane with Anthony Stalter and Jamie Rivers. We appreciate you tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. I suppose I should say, Brooke, wasn't this fun?
How about that?
How about that?
How about that?
CD?
Show us your face. We want to see your face. Who said that? You want to see my face?
Okay, now we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. Have a wonderful, enjoy this weather. Get outside, do something. And for all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a great day, St. Louis.
That's right.